Nation, happy Thursday. Welcome to the stream on the Troopy Whiskey channel. My bad. Just playing the audio from my computer into my microphone. Stoked to have you guys here joining us. We got, 20-some people in the chat right now. We're going to talk about some fun topics for sure tonight. As you can tell, with me is still not Drew, but it's also not Brian. So we have Kyle Rampage with us. In the show notes, I intentionally called him Kyle Rampage because that's kind of what his Instagram handle is. But Kyle's a good bud. He was on our first barrel pick with us at Starlight, which was a lot of fun. Awesome. If you watch my craft whiskey videos this week, you know that rye is still, that was probably, as far as my palate discerned, my favorite craft whiskey that I tasted this year. So Kyle was there. He helped dial it in. So he gets some of the credit. But Kyle, thanks for jumping on tonight, filling in for the man.
Yeah, man. Excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. Kyle and I, we first met. Well, this is how we first connected was a really interesting story.
It is actually, yeah.
Yeah, why don't you tell it?
Yeah, sure. So I've been like a pretty avid Bourbon Junkies follower for, I don't even know now, before COVID. So,
which has been COVID's been a long time. It's been a thing.
Dude, feels like forever. So, been watching them pretty consistently for like 2-3 years now. Like since when they were like way small comparatively to now. But and one night Drew just happened to be on the stream, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I've met this guy before. Because we work in the same industry. And so I don't know that we had actually met before, but we've definitely been at the same event in the same town.
Across streams, as they say.
Yeah, it was very, very close. And so we just kind of had lots of in common and continued to chat, and here we are.
Yeah, it's been fun sometimes, like when I find out I have things in common with folks that I met through the channel or whatever. I like to be like, well, let's just connect. Like, let's hang out. Let's play golf. Let's get on a, just a Zoom meeting or whatever. And let's become friends because I like making friends. It's awesome. And we have a lot in common, you and I, kind of our upbringing, our worldviews, both coffee and bourbon. Yeah. But I'm in Wisconsin and you're in North Carolina.
Raleigh, North Carolina. Absolutely.
Which we were just talking about, seems beautiful. So anybody else in the chat from North Carolina, anywhere in there? If you do live there and you like it, tell us why. Tell us what you like about it. We're going to talk a little bit more about North Carolina and the bourbon scene there in just a little bit. But first, before we get into our weekly buffet of bits, I just want to welcome everybody to the chat. Remind everybody that we are unofficially sponsored by High Noon Sun Sips. It's the tongue-tingling, soul-satisfying 4.5% alcohol by volume, 100-calorie, real fruit juice and vodka and seltzer. It'll pick you up. It'll never let you down. Never going to turn around. Not going to hurt you. Never going to tell a lie. Never going to say goodbye.
All the things, yeah.
And it won't rickroll you neither. So
maybe it might just a little bit
for not sponsoring the pod.
And you're on the watermelon as well, I see.
Big watermelon guy. I had the peach the other night. Got home very late in the day. It was a one drink evening. Just popped a peach, and it kind of hit weird. I
didn't love the peach as much as I expected to be honest.
Yeah,
the watermelon's been by far my favorite.
Yeah, I agree. Black cherry. Black cherry is always a little medicinal.
I have one of those. I just found those at the ABC store here. In North Carolina, one of the random things we were chatting about is that they don't sell these at the grocery store at all. They sell them only at the ABC store because we're a control state. And so you have to find them when they hit the shelf. And I just happened to walk in on a random Wednesday midday, and they had like 10 cases of watermelon. There was the last watermelon was on the shelf. So I picked that up.
Oh, nice. Nice. The grapefruit one is awesome too. I'm not a big fan of the grapefruit LaCroix.
Yeah.
But the High Noon actually tastes like grapefruit and it's delicious. So we got our boy Matt Porter in the house. Come on and raise up, take your shirt off, spin it around your head is that from a song?
Yes, it is. That is P. Pablo. He is a very famous North Carolina rapper. He owns a bar here in Raleigh called The Goat. Also famously was arrested for having a loaded firearm in the RDU airport.
Was he high?
I don't have any idea. I don't know why you would think that was a good idea to carry a loaded firearm through a metal detector.
Yeah, I'm out on that. Doesn't seem wise at all. Forgot to put my headphones in. Hopefully the audio is not funky. All right, let's get into the bits. Kyle, outside of this high noon, what are you drinking tonight, man?
Ooh, man, tonight I've got a few things kind of lined up. In front of me, actually, so I went to Chicago weekend before last, and was able to buy a little of the little Buffalo Trace on the shelf.
Oh, nice.
I actually have a photo in a Walgreens of like 12 bottles in a row. I was like, well, that's
Chicago?
cool.
I've never seen. That's like an hour from me, dude.
I know. I was on a family trip with the wife, so it wasn't this wasn't I didn't even get to go to Benny's. I missed Benny's even. So it was a go to a wedding trip, and I bought this bottle of Buffalo Trace at the old Walgreens, and it's a delicious bottle of Buffalo Trace. But
they don't really miss, Buffalo Trace.
I've had some that are actually
just pretty good.
I've got a couple that were quite corny and quite nutty, which was weird. And this one's like really, really sweet. So I'm not sure. I've only had one bottle that was that way. So that was pretty strange for me. That was like, it tasted a lot more like I'd never really gotten nutty off of Buffalo Trace product distillate, except for that one bottle. So
yeah, you would get it off that Benchmark Foolproof. That was.
Oh yeah, you were saying
that was pretty nutty.
It's pretty nutty. So that must be. I don't know where that stuff comes from, other than yeast is my assumption, but
yeah, maybe. Sweet. Well, I've not had any bourbon yet, and I probably don't want to crush this high noon all at once. Does anybody see anything on the shelf they think I should drink? It's one of those nights where nothing's like popping out to me. Like I did a little gym sesh. I've been fighting the dad bod pretty hard here. Last couple of weeks. I was in ridiculous shape, probably the best shape. Not ridiculous. I was in pretty good shape right before the baby was born. And then I had that weird health thing. People might remember that, where I thought I was like had a blood.
You thought you were dying. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I had a blood clot or a cancerous growth or something. There was a bulbous mass in my arm, and turns out it was just an enlarged vein, and it doesn't seem to be caused by anything exactly. Just happens. It's basically like a varicose vein in your armpit. So anyway, because of that, I until that was resolved, I was hesitant to like raise my heart rate in case it was like a blood clot. So I kept it pretty chill. And then we had the baby. And so it was, I've worked out over the summer just like once a week. So now I'm back on it. But anyway, the days when I work out, like today, I don't necessarily feel like eating or drinking too much. I don't know why, but it messes with my stomach. But
it's probably good.
Yeah, I mean, certainly drinking less makes it easier to be healthy. Alcohol is not good for you. It's good for your mouth, but that's about it. I did pull down that Stagg. I might have a little nip of this later because we're going to talk about Stagg.
This way, actually, over here.
Which one you got?
That's a tough one to jump in on though. So that's that's mine's like 126. I think mine's 2017. 2018, I forget. It's an older one. Yeah, it was a gift from a friend. Very kind
good friend.
Yes.
Very swell person for sure. We should.
Yeah, he had we'll talk about this a little bit more. But since we're ABC State, if you know how to do it, you can do it really well.
Oh, nice. I think I've got this bottle of Eagle Rare my parents gave me for my birthday.
Oh, a little pick.
Yeah, they picked it up in Nevada or something.
Nice.
Yeah, so
I've got last year's North Carolina pick back there on the shelf. So the Eagle Rare Buffalo North Carolina pick.
Red. Yeah, so I think
it was at another quirky thing about North Carolina. So the picks get allocated. A lot of times the picks get allocated, especially from Buffalo Trace, by raffle. So a store in like this tiny town in rural North Carolina won the pick, and they call it a one-door store, which means there's one door in, one door out. Mm-hmm. There's no like two-door situations, which means it's really, really, really small. Like it's probably like the size of half of a shipping container, if you think about shipping containers.
Yeah,
but very small. Yeah. So like a small convenience store small. And they had an entire barrel of Eagle Rare.
Mm.
It was
Limit
funny.
one?
They said they had it was limit 2. She was
Wow.
I was like, what do I have to do to buy more? She's like, honey, not much. So I bought 4. But if I'd have known, I'd have bought like the whole case or 2. Because it's a delicious Eagle Rare pick. A little bit more on the caramelly side than is normal, but very delicious.
Yeah, my first couple pours of this particular single barrel, not to the level I was hoping. I've had some bangers, but who knows? Maybe it just needs a little airtime. We'll see. I just want to again call out folks in the chat here and thank Tom, who's doing a wonderful job welcoming everybody. Y'all, Tom Lynch is our wrench. He's family at this point. We bust each other's balls because we love each other. Tom and I have almost nothing in common, but he's a great friend, swell guy. And he was on last week, and that was a really fun stream to have him join us as well. So
yeah,
that
was
the birthday one. Yeah, so that was the birthday one last week. So you can check that out. But what'd you say about Robert Lee? You helped.
Robert Lee's pushing you to grab that barrel behind you. Is what he's saying. I assume he means Barrel Craft Spirits. It's behind you. That's going to be some Dickel juice. Not going to be my guess.
It is all 3. It's MGP, Kentucky, and Dickel, and it's pretty good. I mean, it was orangey, and you can definitely taste the Dickel. You can notes of the Dickel,
sure.
But
that stuff comes through quick.
It's not heavy. Yeah, it does come through quick. This is really solid, though. I had it last night and enjoyed it, and it's almost dead. I'm gonna kill. It's not one I'm like, oh, I really want to keep this around. It's one that I reach for. When I'm like, I guess I'll have that. So it's good. I wouldn't tell somebody not to buy it, but I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, you have to try this. That was so. Fred Minnick had called out that batch 26, as a particularly good one, which is why I got it. And I was like, it's good, but it's not like, oh my gosh. I had one of the early teens batches that was really, really good. It was a lot spicier. I enjoyed that one more.
Yeah, I mean, with time, it just seems like all the super good MGP stuff is going away. It just seems like their stock has dwindled. So supposedly, the whispers are even the super high age light whiskeys are all gone too. So, which is a super huge bummer.
Yeah. So what's his name? Gene Nassif of Obtainium. Yeah, he had said his prices have gone through the roof on that stuff. Yeah. So he was looking for other sources. I actually passed on a bottle of light whiskey yesterday because I've got this, and it's because I know it's fantastic. This was a store pick.
So
it's
good.
Super good.
Dude,
hazmat. But it's just at some point, we're about to talk about what did you pick up this week, and I still find myself, even when I say no to a lot, I end up picking up 1 or 2 a week, and it's like, how is this happening?
Right. Yeah, I've had to put the chutzpah on that. I've been a little aggressive. Yes, there's a bourbon group called All Things Starlight. And if you are into Starlight, you should not follow that page because it will make you spend lots of money. It's very frustrating.
I mean, I like Starlight. I called them out multiple times.
No, I mean, I love
craft whiskey videos, but I don't I'm not allured by it enough to try and chase their stuff. It's interesting and it's all good, but it doesn't it doesn't absolutely floor me every time.
Yeah, man, it's tough because it's just like the barrel proof finished whiskeys. There's so few of them that exist. And if you like that thing, then that's really the only place you can get it. And their rye stuff for me is incredible. Pretty crazy. So
it's been my experience with the craft whiskey tasting that young ryes are definitely better than young bourbons. I think that's generally common knowledge too. And their rye is really good. So that doesn't surprise me at all that you're jamming on that stuff. Speaking though, so we'll move to the what did you pick up this week? Speaking of barrel proof finished whiskeys.
Oh yeah.
The newest Bardstown collaboration. This is Kentucky whiskey, 7-year and 10-year Kentucky whiskey.
I heard things.
Finished in cognac. So 110 proof, probably not barrel proof, but
Close.
Yeah, I haven't opened it yet.
Close enough for me. Yeah.
But I love the black. The black label.
That's beautiful.
Is sick.
Yeah.
And the color on that's really, really dark.
Yeah. You're gonna have to find another one of those for me, maybe.
Yeah, I think Milwaukee got very little of it, and I was pretty stoked to get one. But then I got a text from a buddy yesterday, so I picked that up earlier in the week. I mentioned that in last week's live stream that I was getting that. Right. But then, and I was like, okay, that's $130.
That hurts. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So I put the brakes on, but then my friend texted me. He's like, oh, hey, this just dropped. And I was like, I can't turn down.
No, you don't.
Barrel-proof single barrels.
If you like Four Roses, like honestly, personally, this is going to be some pure honesty for the chat. I do not like Four Roses standard products whatsoever. I find them to be very not good. And whatever, you can hate me if you wish, but the barrel-proof stuff is incredible, like incredible.
What are your thoughts on the 100 proof OBSV standard single barrels?
I don't like it. I don't know. It just doesn't hit right for me. It seems thin. It seems rough. It seems young, even though it's not. It doesn't hit right for me. But then like I only have one of the barrel proof ones that I picked up when we were on the pick for Starlight, I guess. Yeah. And it's just amazing. I like hide it in the back of the cabinet so I don't drink it.
Yeah. Yeah. I have, I'm able to pick up probably 2 or 3 that hit in Wisconsin every year. It used to be easier. Now it's a little harder. You got to be fast. You got to get there, within a couple hours of that initial Instagram post or whatever.
Right.
But I like them so much that I try not to drink them. And now I have too many. And so I'm like, no, now I'm just being a douchebag. I need to drink these Four Roses picks.
Has Brian actually told you how many single barrels he has?
I asked him once, and I think he undershot because every other day he's holding another one, and it's this is.
I think I don't know, man. He must buy and flip or buy and trade or whatever too. So I'm sure he's got his hands in so much stuff. Yeah, it seems like he buys like six or 10 bottles a week, and so I don't think he drinks 6 or 10 bottles a week. I hope he does not drink 6 or 10 bottles a week. So
right. He and I may have different feelings on the secondary market. Like,
certainly.
Yeah, it seems that way. He'll listen to me rant and rave, and he won't contradict me. No, but he also won't say anything. So.
It's all true, but it's all about value, right? So it's like, where is the value for you? Is it worth it to you, right?
Sure.
So,
yeah.
And to me, no. To him, yes.
Yeah, in certain cases, but I think he does a lot of trading, and now I feel bad because we're like just speculating.
No.
Our buddy Brian, but I think that's the majority of what he does is he is able to score a lot of stuff, and so then he uses that to then go get the stuff he really wants.
Yeah, buy, sell, and trade. He's like quite good at the movement of whiskey. So it's like I don't know that he necessarily puts that much cash in every week, but he definitely moves it around quite a lot.
Yeah. So Matt, I had when we were doing the pick for Dancing Goat, when Brian and I were doing the tasting, Matt's a Patreon supporter. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate that. I said, does anybody want to taste this really, really funky high malt MGP bourbon that Brian just absolutely hated? And it was super funky. And so this is Matt's take. It is crazy weird. Like you've just never had anything like it. And it's, mushrooms was the note that we threw out a lot.
Like actually savory, like actually had that kind of umami, kind of earthy thing going on.
Yeah, very earthy, not salty, but like crazy earthy, like raw mushrooms, like
gross.
Up in your mouth. Yeah,
sounds bad.
So, yeah, I'm a big fan of sauteed mushrooms. I do not like raw mushrooms. So
I don't like to drink savory things at all. Well, that's a lie. I'll drink chicken broth or whatever occasionally, bone broth, whatever. But
how do you feel about Bloody Marys? How do you feel about those?
I'm not a big fan at all.
No, I don't like them either. Yeah,
they're too acidic, too salty, too savory. It's just not what I want to drink.
Yeah, I'd rather do a morning beer with brunch than a Bloody Mary, or on the golf course, like just.
I'd rather be stone cold sober than drink that thing. Yeah. I would. Yeah, I'd rather eat grass clippings than if Bloody Marys. They're just not for me.
Yeah. One time I was golfing. I was a guest at the country club, and so the guy just bought Bloody Marys while I was taking a pee. And so I come back and there's a bloody there, and I'm like, oh man. And it wasn't like I can tell a good bloody versus a bad bloody,
Right.
even though I don't like any of them. And it was a bad bloody. And I'm like, gosh, man, I have to drink this thing. And normally
they give me really good.
I was gonna say normally I won't drink in the morning on the golf course anyway, because then I gotta go home and be with the family. Like if I've been gone in the mornings golfing, I gotta be with the family. And so if I've gotten up early and had alcohol on the course, I just want to sleep, and that's not a good. That's a pretty poor dad move to come home and crash after golf.
Right. Yeah, I typically get really, really bad indigestion off of like those like super like tomato acidic things. So it's just kind of like I'm good.
Yeah. Matt threw out this question. I'd love to see it too. Apparently we've had people picking up Four Roses picks, which is always a good idea. But anybody else pick up anything pretty sick this week? We got System Trend picked up Rare Breed Rye. Solid, very lemony. Like I was hoping for a little more oak and depth off Rare Breed Rye. The one I have is last year's batch, so I know there's a new batch out. It was actually at Costco, but I passed on it. So if anybody, if you taste some variation in Rare Breed Rye and you feel like you got one with more oak, let me know, because I'll try.
I would like more oak. That would be delicious. It was not crazy oaky at all for me.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like pure lemons, like the lemons.
It's quite tart, quite herby. Yeah, my neighbor Mike, who was also on the pick with us, he loves Rare Breed Rye. So I picked him up one when I was in South Carolina. He loves it. I'm just like, cool. I've got other things.
Daniel, thoughts on the Black and Willet? Have the chance to get one 160?
160.
Yeah, it's tough. You know, I did not pay $160. I was in the 130 camp. But I really like it, dude. You know, I would say it is purple top quality up against other purple tops I've had. It's not vintage Willet, you know, it's their distillate, you know, like, so purple tops, I've had probably 4 or 5 tastes tastes of 4 or 5 different purple top barrels. Of course, those are bourbons. That Willet is a rye. But man, the finishing on it really adds a lot. So it already tastes like a solid rye batch, and then you add that finishing, and it was really great. So I enjoyed it. We did a live where I tasted that, and then Brian, my partner, not Kyle, but Brian, who's not with us tonight. He's not with us anymore tonight.
Yeah. I texted him earlier. He was like alive. I know that.
Yeah, he had a work thing tonight, but he did a review as well. He also enjoyed it, but it is expensive. Like it's expensive for what you get, but it's really good. So it's kind of one of those things. Is it worth it to you?
Right. That's one thing that like Dan, the Bourbon Junkie, does a good job with. He's like, hey man, what does $160 mean to you? If $160 is like nothing, and you like step over $160, then go for it. For your boy, $160 is not worth it to me. I've never spent that much on whiskey ever, and there are only a few bottles that would entertain that price point. So,
yeah, and I would say if in a different, you take me back a year ago to the start of the channel before any Patreon support or any ad revenue from YouTube, I probably would have passed on it. I probably wouldn't have bought it. And, I didn't go back and buy a second. I could have gotten one more. I did not. But yeah, I mean, I would say I'm able to taste and try a few bottles because of some income from, the channel. But then I want to taste it just for you guys, because you basically paid for it. So I appreciate that. Thank you. And if you want to support the content on the Droopy Whiskey channel and these live streams and Brian's channel, you can do that at patreon.com/entryproofpodcast, or there's links down below where you can get some swag. I've got like 2 of the Entry Proof Keep It Neat glasses left. I actually have to reorder them, but I was packing up some Patreon orders last night, and then my ShipStation account had a issue, so I got to get that fixed so I can get these packages out this week. Anyway, there's only like 2 of those glasses left. So
yeah, dude, William Wiley hit the stinking mother load this week. I don't know. That's
Remus revealed 5 times 2, the new chats.
Wow. Oh, it's an experimental batch. I've never even seen this. He must live in Tennessee. Yeah, because he's got Tennessee tasters as well. Yeah.
Aren't you all?
Oh no,
William? Huh? I think he's Bama.
I was Alabama. Oh wow. So Hey, William, did you get that KBBS pick through Storytime? So, like Bourbon Junkies adjacent is Michael Klein, who has like Storytime Distilling, and I think they're working to open a functional distillery, but they are doing a bunch of crazy picks. And I saw him post about a 16-year Kentucky bourbon breakfast stout, finished Obtainium light whiskey, which sounds amazing or terrible. I have no idea. I don't know which one. Yeah, it's either awesome or the worst thing ever. So I assume it's probably pretty good because that Obtainium stuff for me just like ticks all the boxes, which is why I have like 6 bottles, 7 bottles.
That's too many.
Yeah, they go slow. They go really slow. But
yeah,
like,
they do.
I knew that I liked it and I wouldn't be able to replace it. Right?
Have you?
Because this is a fluke. It's an accident. It's not an on-purpose thing. Like they didn't like set out to make this amazing super old light whiskey. They set out to make money with light whiskey. Couldn't make money with light whiskey, and then kind of forgot about it for like a decade. And now it's amazing. So
it is amazing. So if you have a shot at picking up some Obtainium light whiskey that would look something like this, sans the wax top, you should probably do that. Pretty good value too.
Yeah, I mean, the price has gone up dramatically. When I first got into them, they were like $45.
Oh wow!
Now they're like 70, 80 kind of territory, which is like I think 70, 80 is like actual value on them, like what that's a good value for them. But gosh, that's a lot comparatively to 45, 50 whenever it kind of first popped up.
Says the guy has an imbibe.
Chattanooga, yeah, that checks out.
Porkins in the house. He ordered the Barrel Craft Spirits private release Barbados finished whiskey. It's mostly 14-year light whiskey and 18-year corn whiskey. Wow, nice.
Sign me up.
Then saw EC18 on the shelf at the grocery store. Nice, dude. Congrats. Those are fun. When you're just like, I'm at the grocery store, I'm gonna run in the liquor store, side of it or whatever, and then it's like, oh yeah, it's Elijah Craig 18. Like, oh my gosh. I think that's happened to me like twice, in 5 years of hunting. But those are amazing moments. You just get jacked. Like your heart goes into your eyeballs. It's like when you're deer hunting and that big buck walks out, the once every 5 years or whatever big buck, like that kind of feeling. Except then you don't actually have to pull the trigger and miss because that's heart-wrenching. You can just grab it and go pay for it.
True. Yeah, or just not have the money in the bank. That would be the killer, right?
Oof, yeah. Yeah.
It's like the day before payday or whatever. You're like,
I'm taking out another credit card.
Yeah, is this worth getting yelled at for? So
yeah, I think there are ways around that, but not that you should keep anything from your spouse. I wouldn't.
You should not. No,
I wouldn't advocate for that.
I would not either, because they'll find out and they'll be extra pissed.
Just bring something else home. That's my.
Oh, yeah, that's a good plan.
Is like just don't come home with just whiskey, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, this last week we were in Chicago. Went to this tiki bar called 3 Dots and a Dash. It was great. It was fantastic, and they had like a humongous rum selection, like a 10-page rum menu. I was like, dope. I don't know anything about rum. Hey, bartender, tell me about this stuff. And so he brought me 4 rums, one from Barbados, one from Jamaica, one from Guyana, and one from I don't remember where the last one was from, but it was actually technically an agricole, which is like made with fresh pressed cane sugar juice. It was like crazy herbal, like more scotchy than anything else. It was very weird. Did not like that one very much, but the other ones were amazing. And I found out that my wife she drank a barrel proof funky Jamaican rum that was like 12 or 14 years old and loved it. So that's what I'm on the hunt for now.
Nice. Dan Barber.
My wife does not.
Dan Barber says that Obtainium Polish rye is a killer. Yeah, I've got a little bit of that. Thanks to Matt Pletz. Yeah, it's a good one.
Canadian. You can see the old. Yeah. Repping a little bit of another channel. Sorry, Drew.
No, it's fine. I'm not competitive at all.
No, not at all. We've already talked about that a million times.
Freddie says, have you gone to Mystic Distillery? Have you?
Mm-hmm. No, I've not been. I've tasted from Mystic, and
no, you're not jiving.
No.
That's okay.
It's like
I would talk crap about several distilleries in Milwaukee that they're just bad. They just don't do a good job.
No one in Raleigh at the moment is doing whiskey in a way that I really love. Like, honestly, in North Carolina, anybody's doing whiskey that I really love. There's a new guy that's doing blended stuff. He's a NDP, non-distilling producer. Right now, he's working on it. He has a still, but it's not hooked up apparently. It's called Old Raleigh, and he's buying like young stuff from Colorado, Tennessee, and Indiana, I believe, and blending it. I have yet to taste it. I saw a bottle in the ABC store the other day, but it was like $80 for young whiskey. And I was like, no, the bottle was dope, but not $80 dope. And then there's another group here in town doing Lone Rider. They've been a beer brewer for quite a long time, and they're buying like quite young MGP and finishing it. They have a like stout barrel finish one, which is pretty tasty, but kind of expensive. And then they have a port, or it's either port or the other like fortified wine stuff. Sherry. It's sherry finish. It's a sherry finished bourbon, and then they have a tequila finished bourbon. I have not tasted the tequila one, but the sherry's fine. Sherry's not my thing, but the stout finish one was pretty decent. But it's finished whiskey. It's relatively expensive. It's quite young. Like probably it tastes like 3-year to me, but like 2 or 3 that really really young MGP stuff. Which is just corny and not particularly my vibe. And then the rest of the stuff that's going out there is like all like crazy young, like hyper young, like rapid aged whiskey, which is like super not my thing. You can't fake age. That's one thing you can't fake is time. So. And then there's Rua in Charlotte, which is that's more like Scotch, like malt whiskey concept, which it tastes like young Scotch. Which if you're into young Scotch, then it's great. But if you
I don't know anybody who's into young Scotch. Like, as
hey man, I was trying to give somebody the benefit of the doubt. Okay,
it's like
I do have a good.
It's like these craft bourbons and ryes. Right. You know, some of them taste really good when they taste older. But I don't know anybody who's like just chasing that 3-year-old grainy Band-Aidy, just under.
I really want that 6 month. I want that 6 month corn juice. It's just like tastes like gasoline
barrel. Yeah, it's pretty rough.
The gasoline and like particle board. It's delicious.
Or that Buffalo Trace white dog that you can just buy, which people do because it's Buffalo Trace, but I don't know why. Like, it's not good in anything. It's good for nothing.
I mean, like maybe if you're making like a weird hunch punch or some crazy like fruited cocktail, it could be kind of interesting. There's tons of esters in there if you like estery weird stuff.
Anyway,
have you had Conviction in Charlotte? I don't know Conviction. I don't know them. That may be something I've missed. There's so much stuff at the ABC store that's like new, and I'm always scared because it's expensive and terrifying. I'm like Drew and I have a very similar palate when it comes to young stuff. Like, we picked out the young stuff at Starlight in an instant, and it was difficult.
Yeah.
We tasted how many just normal bourbons did we taste? 10?
Not that. Yeah. Well,
was it less? I thought it was a
bunch.
I don't
know. We tasted so much stuff that day.
We did,
and we probably had 5 straight bourbons. I think that was it. But there was only one. Yeah, one, and that didn't even make the final cut. Thomas 40, dude. Thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate that. And he's got a question for Kyle.
Honestly, that meetup, not a ton. There's like Raleigh Bourbon and Banter, which is like a Facebook group where it's mostly just like people posting about like what store, which is kind of cool, helpful to like get some tips. But meetups, I mean, they do like a yearly golf tournament thing, but I don't participate in that typically. But
how could you not? I would do that. I would come down there just for that. We'll play together.
Sure, I'll send it. Yeah, it's just like it's one of those things. Like, I usually find out about it too late, or they want sponsors or whatever, and it's just kind of one of those things. It's like a fundraiser. It's great. It's a fundraiser for something. I don't remember exactly what. It's embarrassing. I don't know, but yeah.
I would point out, if I didn't mention, but you can also support the channel by super chat, and that's a way if you have a question or something, we'll definitely see that and call it out. So I throw that out.
Yeah, they're coming in. They're coming in pretty hot and heavy tonight. There's lots of chatter in the
tons. I can't keep up with it, but let's get. We've been talking and it's been fun, and we will talk more and banter more.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, but let's get to the other bits we had planned for tonight, and one of them was to talk about this guy, talk about the Stagg.
Oh yeah,
because the news broke a day ago, 2
it
days
was this
ago.
morning.
Was it this
Was
morning?
it was this morning or yesterday morning?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was yesterday, like dog years, maybe bourbon years. But bottom line is, the word on the street, as announced by Sazerac, so they put the word on the street that they are not releasing George T. Stagg in 2021. Now, there's a lot of things to say about this. One of my favorite reactions was, okay, I wasn't going to get it anyway. Like,
fair enough.
I'm pretty empathetic to that because the only bottle I got through trade, and you got yours through gift. So it's not exactly easy to come by regardless. But it's still a big deal because this has been kind of their biggest bourbon that they release every single year for outside of the Pappies, every year. Right, so it's a big deal for them not to release it.
Yeah, this is like a huge deal. That's like the kind of crown jewel of the BTAC series for most people, regardless of how you feel. I think most people would think most people would know Stagg before they knew WLW.
Right.
Like you have to be pretty in the know to know about WLW as far as when it comes to bourbon stuff.
Yeah, I mean, among the whiskey geeks, people,
right.
They may prefer the WLW. William LaRue Weller, Mojo 88 is saying Weller is bigger. For certain folks, but the Stagg is probably has been more famous longer. And, if it's me, it's a tough call of choosing between the two. If I'm sitting there looking at a WLW and a JTS, I don't know. Thanks to Kyle. Yeah, I think I had a little tasty taste of that bottle, and
this particular one, this was also a gift or a trade from that same friend.
Oh, nice.
I had to kind of give the farm for that one, but it's fine.
Yeah, the Weller does trade for more on the secondary market, generally speaking.
There's typically less bottles as well. Typically, there's fewer.
Right. Yeah, the Stagg tends to be the most. Like the most barrels in a particular batch or most finished bottles. But anyway, what do you think about this? I read an interesting piece from Whiskey Raiders on their take on what Sazerac may be up to. Because Saz basically said, hey, it doesn't match the profile we've come to expect out of this brand. It's a bummer, but, we'd rather not release it than release something that doesn't match the profile that we've established for JTS. And Whiskey Raider says, well, that's all cute and everything, but, this is the first year of stuff that would have been released that was distilled by Harlan Wheatley, who's the master distiller at Buffalo Trace.
Okay.
So they're saying that, maybe there's some difference in the distillate, but that's unlikely given that they have so many whiskeys being barreled. And, odds are pretty good that there wasn't a massive change from whoever preceded Harlan, which may have been Elmer. And then I forget. I don't know if there was somebody in interim. I know Elmer was doing just a lot of walking around by that point.
Kicking it, yeah.
Yeah. So, but there probably wasn't a big difference because it's a well-established company. It's not like somebody gets in there and like, what am I going to make today? So there's probably not that big a difference in the distillate. Whiskey Raiders was saying they may be holding, and they're just hypothesizing because Sazerac has been known to do stuff, but may be holding back for some super old, like 20-year release for Harlan's 20th anniversary as master distiller. Maybe that, or they may be playing with demand because, as soon as they announced it, there's a bunch, like there's another inflation on the secondary market of the,
the 2019 or 2020, because that was already
anything that's available. Like any George T. Stagg that's out there is going to fetch a premium this year because there's no new stuff to add to the market.
If you want it, yeah, exactly.
But Sazerac doesn't benefit from that. They don't get revenue from not selling whiskey, so I doubt that. I'm not on board with that take. But what are your takes, Kyle?
Man, I want to kind of run through some of those ideas and just kind of come at it from a straight up business perspective. So, I mean, granted, the BTAC percentage of Sazerac's income is probably very, very small by comparison to what they're doing with, Fireball or whatever, or all the stuff they sell off from. Buffalo Trace, or sell off from 1792 or whatever. So, but I don't think it would be in their best interest to continue to frustrate the consumer by making demand higher and supply lower. They built 10 new rick houses, so they understand that there is an incredible demand for the product that they cannot produce at a volume that they don't meet the demand of the market, right? And until they meet the demand of the market, they're losing money like dramatically, right? So this is just standard economics. This is not crazy stuff, right? So I think it would be, if that is their choice to create more demand, I think that's a foolish choice. But a decision I made a few years ago was like, take someone at their word until they prove that it's untrustworthy. And so if they say that the quality of the product is not high enough, I want to respect that. Like, I want to respect and say, sure, okay, that's awesome. I mean, they put out the batch you have is considered the lackluster batch of that product, and like, they don't
really good.
Yeah, it's still incredible, but like, they don't want to put out another batch that blinds lower than Stagg Junior.
Sure.
There were a couple of different channels that actually picked the Stagg Junior 20, the batch 12, which is like a 6 or 8 year product above the 15-year product. Their flagship mash bill 1 concept, right? So I think that would be foolish. I don't think they're doing that. So I'm gonna. At the end of the day, they're a corporation, so their chief goal is to make as much money for their shareholders as physically possible. And so, if that was their demand, if that was their idea to create more demand, their shareholders are likely going to call them to the table, and someone's going to get fired. And that's probably not what's going to happen, because that's not what happened.
Yeah. I think it's probably brand protection. Like, what you don't want to do is release this, as you're saying, a subpar product, and then people are like, JTS isn't what it used to be,
Now, might we see a bunch of Colonel Taylor barrel proofs pop on the market? That'd be sick.
Maybe.
I'd be super down. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was too fruity. Maybe because like Stagg's GTS's profile is super oaky, super oak driven, like red fruits, very like Eagle Rare on steroids. Kind of concept. Right. So you can't fake that, because no one else makes anything that's that flavor profile.
Right. Fred is correct in the article that I read. This is an accurate semi-quote. Is that it does seem that it wasn't packing the amount of oak and richness that people come to expect from JTS. So the problem is not over oaking, because I'm sure they monitor these barrels like crazy. They're pulling them before they're over oaked, and it would go into a Stagg Junior or something if it was accelerating into a point where they're like, oh, we got to pull these barrels down.
Yeah. When's the last time you had an over oaked Buffalo Trace? Never.
Yeah, they probably don't exist.
Yeah,
I really think that they're just too good at what they do to waste whiskey.
They are very skilled at the oaking of whiskeys. Like, I mean, the super old Pappy stuff is still crazy delicious, and frustratingly hard to get and frustratingly expensive, but very delicious. Yeah, and anyone who says otherwise is just whatever.
I've never had a taste above the 12-year, which was I've had the 10 and 12 just tastes, and they were great.
10's fine. 10's fine. 12's good.
Not
15 is like
2023. Yeah, people sing the praises of 15 generally as kind of the best one from a pure flavor perspective, but I wouldn't know.
Yeah, we tasted it. So a buddy of mine is like a exec in Charlotte, so he has like access to like lots of money, so he buys whatever he wants. And so he was gracious enough to let me taste his 15 and his 12 along. I brought WLW with me. And man, I really wanted to just take the opportunity to crap all over that dude's Pappy Van Winkle 15, and I just couldn't. It was just really great. It's very well put together. So I like flavor arc when it comes to like beverage products. I want them to start here and then to move gracefully to like a kind of crescendo, and then become like go into the finish, right? So like that's what I prefer in a well-constructed beverage. And so a lot of young whiskeys are quite spiky and kind of all over the place, where that 15, man, it was no one flavor jumped out to you in like a really massive way, but the way it was constructed and blended just really made a fun arc.
Nice. That's exciting.
Flavor Dork Land. Yeah.
Yeah, I really want to taste one of those at some point. But Evan, I love this this comment from Evan. New release will be called Stagg the Third. It's fantastic. That's what I was hoping.
Yeah,
the benchmark foolproof would be, and it was
your benchmark pure gasoline. Yeah, absolutely. That sounds. Yeah.
I got to be honest, that tastes like pure gasoline. All right, we are at 46 minutes, and given the amount of hydration I have a LaCroix, I have a High Noon, I have a water bottle, which is empty, and then I have bourbon. So you all know what time it is. This is the part of the show where Drew takes a break, runs upstairs, and does what he has to do. So Kyle, why don't you get started with the next bit here? And tell us a little bit about what is bourbon like in North Carolina, because it's completely different. People have heard me talk about what it's like in Wisconsin. You mentioned a little bit with ABC, but whoa, I just knocked some over. But share with the kind folks, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. Mojo's in chat, like saying the 23 is over oaked. That's the only one I've ever heard people felt was over oaked, but overhyped, certainly. Over oaked, I haven't had it, so I can't tell you, to be honest with you. But I'll let you know if I ever get some. But anyway, so North Carolina, if most of you guys aren't from here, there's a slightly different structure. So North Carolina's bourbon culture is pretty powerful. It's like quite a lot of like bourbon drinkers particularly in Raleigh where I live. And so every county, first of all, the whole state is ABC. So it's run by a state controlled ABC board. And the state warehouse is relatively close to me here in North Carolina. However, each store has to, or each county has slightly different rules about which of the ways they can do things, about barrel picks, about whatever. So I live in a county called Wake County, Wake, and it is by far the most populated county for bourbon drinkers, and it is by far the worst county to live in for bourbon consumption. So it's like crazy picked over. Everything is allocated, like pre-allocated. So like when a new whiskey, like a new fun whiskey drops, some stores may get a bottle. So there's like 15 stores in Wake County. And so they may get a bottle, they may get a case. So like when Stagg Jr. dropped late last year, I knew it was where it was going to be, when it was going to be there. And I was able to get one. Technically, I was able to get two, but don't tell anybody because I wasn't supposed to get two. I had to go and leave and then come back and return. But anyways, so it's kind of a weird deal. So the great thing is you can get everything at MSRP. The terrible thing is you can't get anything really, really great. I haven't seen anything from Buffalo Trace on the shelf in a year or two, probably. Like I haven't seen. I love Eagle Rare. That's like probably if I could get it all the time, that'd be my daily drinker always. I haven't seen it on the shelf in North Carolina in 2 or 3 years. The last one I saw, I bought, and it's like the big dog. It's been chilling over there. Like I said, the picks I have, the North Carolina Eagle Rare pick, which is right there, is it's from quite a few years ago. So it's kind of one of those quirky things where you don't see it ever, which is very frustrating. People saw me pour from this earlier. I have bought one of these on the shelf once in North Carolina, and I knew that it was there, and I knew who to ask, and they had to go get it from the back. But that was before the old fancy gold top. I sourced this bad beast from Ohio, like every other respecting Weller drinker. Yeah. If that person wants to make themselves known, they can, but I'm not going to out that person because that person is in our group right now.
That's probably wise. Yeah,
thank you so deeply. Thank you so deeply. It's been amazing. It's very delicious. I hadn't had Weller in 107, and the last bottle I had, I traded off because I'm an idiot for 3 bottles of New Riff when it first dropped.
Yeah. I mean, New Riff is good. I like it, but fine. But yeah, I mean, you can get New Riff everywhere now.
Not North Carolina, so they don't distribute here, which is quirky. Still not. Yeah, bummer. There's no distro here. We just got like Penelope just started distributing here. So we were talking about like before the stream. We're talking about like what is here and what's not here. So of course, nothing. There's no Buffalo Trace anything ever, whatever, anywhere ever. But we get quite a humongous allocation of Elijah Craig. So So I was talking with the Evan Williams rep when he was in town. I was on a pick for the local group, the Raleigh Bourbon and Banter group. They picked like a normal Elijah Craig and the wheat one, Larceny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was saying that North Carolina is Evan Williams, Elijah Craig's like the largest market.
Are you serious?
In the country. So we get the most allocation.
That is bizarre. Why is that?
Yeah. No idea.
No.
I really no idea. I have I bought every ECBP off the shelf since since B 518.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So yeah. So we get that. We don't get the toasted. No one gets toasted, I don't think. That's not particularly
in Wisconsin, we had a decent amount of toasted.
Yeah, I got one bottle off the shelf, but like it's been pretty. Like I searched for quite a while to find that one. It took me quite a long time, but yeah, we get a lot of Elijah Craig stuff. We don't get a lot of like the super high age, like the 18. We don't. That's around occasionally, but Larceny Barrel Proof is in North Carolina as well. Yeah, I don't look for it, so I don't find it because that profile's just not for me.
Yeah,
but my boy Whiskey Nose here is moving. Yeah, it should be better. The yeast profile at from Heaven Hill doesn't work for me in the weeder land. Like the kind of nutty thing with the weeders just doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah, it's pretty funky. It's more earthy.
Yeah, it goes. Yeah, it's pretty earthy.
I'll take Makers every day over Larceny, and some of the old fits can be good where it's a little off profile. It's not as. But yeah, I mean, you don't really see them. I've tasted two of them. I've never had a bottle.
I've tasted one, I think, once. Yeah.
But the old fits still taste like Larceny. Like it's still the funky, even the old dusty black label.
Oh yeah, the cheaper stuff. Yeah.
It's still not great. So that's just me. If you like Larceny, good for you. It's not my jam. I'll take Makers over that. For sure.
Yeah, I think like a Weller 107 and like the super old, like the Pappy stuff is some of the only weeder whiskeys that I really enjoy, actually, which is kind of bougie of me to say out loud, but it's kind of true.
Yeah, it's pretty bougie. But I'm gonna go in for a little of the Stagg tonight. Let's transition. Unless anybody has more questions for Kyle, we can come back to. We were gonna talk. What were we gonna talk about next? We were gonna talk about the blinds, like setting up tastings for people when they come over. You wanted to talk about this because you've been working on it. So I'm just going to give you the floor here.
I do these quite a lot for people, but I know that a couple people had asked me questions in the chat that I missed. So if you miss me, catch me on Instagram. Like it's at Kyle_Rampage. It's like my name that you see below here, but with a P in there. I mostly post about coffee stuff. I don't post about whiskey stuff at all. But yeah, I'm pretty generally crazy, so it's all good. Okay. Oh yeah. So blinds. Like I don't know if you guys do this a lot, but when people come over, I don't really do blinds a lot, but I do like kind of more guided whiskey tastings for like the bourbon. Noob is a bad word, but like the Bourbon Curious. I think that's a better way to put it. Like, hey, I'm curious about this, but I don't really know.
Those are such a fun deal to do, like to introduce people and let them taste the spectrum for sure. Like it's tons of fun.
Yeah, the guy who let me taste his Pappy, like he came over one night and we were just kicking it and he wanted to taste the whiskey. He's like, okay, cool. Like I have some fun stuff. What do you like? He's like, oh, I had some Buffalo Trace I liked once. I'm like, all right, cool. And at that time I had Buffalo Trace at Eagle Rare. I had like Weller Green Label. I had Antique 107 and I had a Blanton's on me at that time. So we just kind of tasted through all kind of those in kind of a sequence. And that's where he jumped off into whiskey and really got into it. And now hunts whiskey. He actually found ECBP B 521 for me on my behalf, which was great because I've just been busy with work. So it was great. That was super, super fun to get someone else excited about a creative passion that is built around flavor, which is what I do 99% of the time. Whether it's like I do bourbon stuff, I do beer blending stuff. I did that last week. I work in coffee. So I buy coffee for a living and then roast and quality control a roaster here in North Carolina called Black and White Coffee Roasters. That's my day job. And then, I'm into whiskey curious for the most part. So yeah, but building whiskey tastings for people. So I have some people coming over this Saturday. So I built 3 whiskey tastings for them. which I thought were pretty fun. The first one's like kind of a tour of Buffalo Trace, so like some like easy to find stuff and then some hard to find stuff. So it's like it starts with just the old classic Buffalo Trace. If you really want to be shysty, you can throw in like some early times or something like Benchmark or whatever. If you really want them to like show, if you want to show the gradation of like what quality can be, and then,
I just wouldn't buy those things.
Yeah, I buy a Benchmark to put in my little barrel that my brother-in-law gave me for Christmas. So he gave me like a massive barrel that took like $200 worth of cheap whiskey to fill.
Oh man!
And I left it in there for like 5 months, and now it's pretty good. It's still young.
Oh really?
It has quite a lot of oak on it now, which is
interesting. Cool. Yeah, I would. You should send me a sample of that.
Sure. Yeah,
I did like the Benchmark single barrel though. That was good.
I've heard that's the one everyone prefers. Pretty much.
So, yeah, I mean, I had the full proof in the single barrel, and I liked the single barrel. Somebody asked me as you talk. Somebody asked me what I like. The how's the Stagg compared to the Stagg Junior? I have Stagg 19, and I have Stagg Junior batch 14. So I'll do a little side by side. We'll come back to that later.
Nice. Yeah, you've got the two like not super favorite batches of both those whiskeys.
I really like batch 14 though of the Stagg Junior. Like I also have batch 12. Which is not open. Right. It's not open.
Nice. Yeah, I have I got 2 13s and I got 2 15s. I buy things in pairs. It's like a problem I have, which is But I did get those. I got those Stagg, the 15s, and I got the 13s in Seattle, which is quirky, but I got the 15s in North Carolina for $55. So, eat it. Yeah, exactly.
Good. What are the other
guided tasting? So it starts with Buffalo Trace, then goes to Eagle Rare, like just one like oak and time proof up. The same proof, but like more oaky, more viscous in my opinion. And then it jumps to what I have on hand, which is 107, a Weller 107, which they'll probably have heard about but never tasted, which is cool. It's great. And then I want to blow them up and give them. I have I think that's Stagg Junior 13 is over there open as well. So if they really want to go for it, we'll go there.
That was one of the first, not that batch, but Stagg Junior was one of the first barrel proof whiskeys I actually had.
Me too.
And so I was like, oh man.
Good. Did you like it?
Yeah, but I didn't have I couldn't wrap my palate around it. Like it was just so much. Yeah, the only analogies that come to mind are bad, or not bad, but
fire.
Inappropriate. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, like similar experience.
Heard. Yes. They go a slightly more adult direction.
Yes.
Anyways, the first batch I had was
family show about alcohol.
The Stagg Junior batch that I first had was 11, and that batch is the hottest batch of Stagg Junior I've ever tasted. It was punishing. It was like fruitcake that was on fire, and I did not enjoy it at all. It was I traded it away because it was so nuclear. Mojo 88, hit that like button. He knows what's up.
Great. We got 80 people in the chat. Hope you guys are enjoying this. But again, I'm just gonna run down. If you guys want more content, go to the stuff in the show notes. Those are links. Follow the channel. Follow Brian's channel. He's not here, but that guy drops some seriously killer reviews. Kyle's filling in tonight like a boss. So Kyle, thanks again for jumping on. And then if you want to support, the links below, you can like the video. You can share the content. That's huge too, especially right after we release a video. A share goes a long way, helps with the algorithm. And then super chats too. If you guys want to drop a little something in the chat, make sure we see your comment. That's sick. No pressure though. And then Patreon. I'm wearing the Patreon shirt. So those who've been supporting the channel for 6 months now at a certain tier are going to get this shirt. And I've got a lot of them packaged up, but I mentioned my ShipStation account went on the fritz. So I got to get that figured out and get these out later this week. But if you'll notice, the clock goes backwards, like a certain clock. You may have
the clock. Yeah, the clock.
Yeah. So I mean, it says bourbon time, and then it says like 8 o'clock, but then the clock's going the wrong way, so it's not 8 o'clock. Anyway,
it depends on what time zone you're in. Yeah, exactly.
It's an inside joke. If you want one of these, though, you can get them on Patreon. I will put some up because I had to order a bunch. because shirts, inventory and
Yeah.
stuff, business things. I will put some up on Etsy as Christmas gets closer, so you can buy one later if you really want it. I actually gave one away. Somebody won it last week.
Nice.
That'll go out when I get the ShipStation thing figured out. But what are the other tastings you're working on? You got this Buffalo Trace one coming up, and then
so I have a Buffalo Trace one. So I kind of gonna let them pick because like these are the two of the guys are like, oh, one guy's like, I drink Irish whiskey. One guy's like, oh, I kind of drink cocktails and red wine. I'm like, okay, crap. So I have the second one is a like finished whiskey tasting. And so when I build a tasting, I want to build it from like the most approachable to kind of finishing on like kind of a relatively intense pour. Within the scope of like what I feel like these people can handle. Because I don't want to give like, you also don't want to waste great whiskey, right? Like you don't want to give somebody Stagg GTS or give someone like Stagg Junior and then like, oh, this is terrible, and then shoot it. And you're like, crap, I haven't drank that. But anyways, so it goes with it's sitting right over here behind me. You can't see it, but it starts with Woodford Double Oaked because that's a really crazy approachable, crazy sweet, like maple syrup and like raisins and stuff. Delicious. I like the Double Oak product stuff a lot. The 1910 is like my favorite, the Whiskey Row, which I'm like kind of in the minority on that one, but that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you're either on 1920 or 1910, and if you really like oak, you're on 1910. I actually prefer 1920 because I like certain kinds of oak.
Right. I just feel like the 1920 profile is so easily replicated. Like other whiskeys do that well.
Do they though? Tell me another whiskey that tastes like 1920. And I can tell you one other one, but only sometimes.
Depends on how you feel about bananas. But anyway, like Stagg Junior does that stuff really, really well.
Sure, but you can't get it. You can get 1920 every day.
Right. Yeah.
So I advocate. Oh, that looks good. That's a 9-year.
Yeah, it's a 9-year low rye. But yeah, there are other whiskeys out there. Like a lot of the decently aged MGP stuff does that high proof, good whiskey thing. But I don't think very many people do the double oaked whiskey very well. I think 1910 is the best double oaked whiskey that exists and that I've tasted. And I buy them a lot because I like them. Some of them get pretty like sawdusty. Yeah. Even from some distillers I really enjoy. But anyway, so it starts with that.
Because I had one bottle of that and it was too much. The oak was too drying.
Oh yeah.
And the drying mouthfeel does not suit me.
The 1910 or the
1910. 1910.
Oh yeah, I've heard people say that as well, but I don't. It doesn't bother me. But they're weird too. They open up really, really slow. I've noticed as well. So it's like a fresh crack on Woodford Double Oak and a fresh crack on honestly any Double Oak product is going to be pretty bad. Like they're going to be pretty rough. You guys got to know that going in. But I like them, so I buy them, so I drink them. So yeah, it's one of those things. So the second bottle I have is the Woodinville Port Cast finish, which is just a little bit bump up in proof, I think, or maybe it's about the same.
Yeah, I enjoyed that
it's
one. It's interesting. It's nice.
Quite fruity, quite port driven, quite sweet, like pretty approachable. Like I also like Woodinville's distillate quite a lot. I think they do a good job distilling their whiskey. It's just all a bit young, but when they get into the older stuff, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, in my opinion. I'm not even sure they're craft anymore. They may be too big. So I don't know.
Sorry.
Woodinville.
Oh, I would still count them. I'd still count them.
Okay.
It's like a crafty product. It's not everywhere. You can't get it no, you can get it now in Wisconsin.
Almost. Yeah, almost everywhere now. Yeah. Anyways, it's delicious. The port one is a bit hard to find. It's not distributed quite as much. That one actually came from Seattle, which was dope. And then the third bottle is pretty hitter level. It is Joseph Magnus. Not the just a triple cask, not the cigar blend.
The cigar blend is so good. Oh my god.
I haven't had it. I've been searching for it for years.
I would love to get a bottle too, and I would have to trade or buy a bottle. And again, I'll remind everybody I've sworn off secondary. But
I have not. Get out there. I have not. Not for that. For that bottle, I have not sworn it off.
Slide into Kyle's DMs. But there's a bar locally that has it for a reasonable price, like $25 for a pour. And I'm probably the only one drinking that bottle, and I'm gonna drink all of it because it's so good.
Yeah, I know Redemption has gotten kind of a bad rap for.
No, not in this house. Not in this house.
They were a touch dishonest. It's fine. It's fine. So were other people, but their MGP stuff's really good. So
Yeah, well, the high age, high proof stuff. I do not like their younger. Like I haven't had any store picks of the younger stuff I liked.
Right.
It's pretty rough, but these old age cast strength, yeah, totally undervalued, well aged MGP. The 10-year rye that I have up there, Tom knows, is so good.
Yeah. So they had a 9-year. They had a 9-year low rye. They had a 10-year high rye, and they had the rye.
Yeah.
And the guy at the store told me to go with the 9-year low rye, and I was like, okay. I was not going to go that way, but whatever. And it's delicious. It tastes honestly, tastes a ton like tastes like a lot like Remus 5. But
yeah, I'm sure it's the same,
more expensive.
Regardless, like they're all going to be good.
Yeah,
like none of them are going to suck. I had an old wax top Redemption 8-year rye, and man, that was what first turned me on to the Redemption. Is I got that for like $70. It was super dusty on some guy's shelf at some janky liquor store, and I was like, dude, you know how much is that? And he's like, well, it's like 80. And I was like, and he's like, I'll give you $10 off. I'm like, sure. Yeah.
Sign me up.
It was worth it. Totally worth it. It was fantastic.
But now the day that bottle's probably worth like $300, $400 on
secondary. Probably a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Those rides.
That old MGP stuff, man, is worth a ton of money on secondary, which I get. Like,
dude, it makes me hesitate. I've got these old Bell Mead single barrels cast strength.
I hate you for it. Yeah, I know. I hate you for it so much.
Yeah. And so I'm like, I just happened into both of them. One guy traded me one for E.H. Taylor single barrel, which I do not regret at all. The 12.
I love some E.H. Taylor single barrel. Gosh, it's so good.
Yeah, but it's not like what it trades for now on secondary. It ain't crazy. Like that. Yeah, I mean,
crazy.
Get out of here. And then
I've got an uncracked one for that reason.
The 9-year. So again, just some random liquor store in Chicago, like in the city. This was like $60, and at that point, it had already been sitting on the shelf for some 5 years because this was bottled in 2014, and I picked it up like 3 years ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
that makes me so frustrated.
But I don't want to open them because I'm scared they're going to be bad. I'm sure
they will be bad. They may not be worth the secondary value on them, but they will be bad.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be fun to drink, but I'm hoping they're phenomenal.
Oh, I'm sure they're great. Yeah. Like most of the old MGP stuff I've had has been so good. Like, honestly, for me, I think Buffalo Trace is the most talented distilling aging group out there, despite how terrible Sazerac is about everything. Their whiskey's incredible. And then MGP's right there, which is
when their stuff gets old,
for me.
It gets good.
Yeah, it does need to be pretty old though. It does not taste great young.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough call between like well-aged Heaven Hill and well-aged MGP for me. It depends on the day.
That's a good point. It depends on what you're into, right? Like
right.
But like
they are different. Well-aged.
But like well-aged, like Heaven Hill, like needs to be pretty doggone old. Like 12 is like where they start tasting good, and that's weird.
You're not a Henry McKenna guy, because I've had some amazing.
I've had some great ones. I've had a couple turds. You know what I'm saying? I've just had some that I just wasn't a huge fan of.
I had one bottle of Henry McKenna that I opened but that was early on, and I don't know, like my palate's probably changed It was particularly nutty. I remember that.
Yeah.
Like it reminded me more of Beam Profile, which I'm not a big fan of Beam.
Right.
So like I have a bottle of Booker's I've had open for a year and I can't bring myself to finish it. Yeah.
So I'm not a Booker's guy. Like my neighbor Mike is like a huge Booker's guy, loves it to death. Like has the majority of the releases over the last 3 or 4 years. And I just despise them so much. I don't despise that's too harsh. I just don't like them. Yeah, I don't like them at all. Like
I want to like it. I don't as much. The knobs though, the knob single barrels, and then the knob 12s, I'm all about. So now I'm well stocked on knob 12s. I've got 2 of the cask and 2 of the Hundo. I'm good on the knob.
Yeah,
but I'll take knob over Booker's. Like
every day, all day,
such a better value. Like even those knob 12 cast strengths, still cheaper than Booker's. Suck it.
Yeah.
Suck it, Booker's.
Yeah. Even the knob 15, like the knob 15 is $100. Like, and that's expensive for whiskey for me. And like, man, that's a great whiskey.
I didn't have that one. I passed on it like too many times.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people did. I bought one. My neighbor bought 2. Like I said, I think he really digs that beam profile.
Mm.
But you know something crazy about you don't like beam very much, but you like Heaven Hill a ton. You know something fun? They use the same yeast profile.
Interesting.
So when
Heaven
Hill burned, they Beam gave them yeast.
Yeah, I remember.
Which is why there's just part of why their whiskeys taste so similar.
And they kind of coalesce too when they age. Like
exactly.
Beam against well-aged Heaven Hill, it's hard to tell the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, like the stuff that was in the Discovery 4, right? That super old Beam stuff.
You can't tell what it is.
Yeah, it's definitely Beam, but like it's very delicious. And I have a couple. I have one. Yeah, I only have one left. I have a 15-year or 14-year, 11-month Knob Creek pick that is
so good,
fire, so good. And so, but like finding those old Knob Creek picks now is like it's like old MGP. You can't find them anymore. They're all 9-year, 2 months.
They were everywhere, and we all should have bought way more than we did. Like the wise people banked them. I did not bank them. I had probably 3 or 4, and I drank them, and I loved them.
Yep.
And I didn't feel bad about drinking them because they were like $40 or $50. But obviously I've got a lot of great whiskey, so I'm not complaining. But that was great whiskey. That was such a good value that
she'll never taste again.
Never get it back.
Never taste it ever again. So it's that's tough. That's hard. And like that was what killed Knob Creek 15. The special releases, because you could at that time you could still buy the super old Knob Creek picks that were 120 proof for $55, where the 15-year 100 proof was 100. So it's kind of a tough gig.
My brother, that's my brother, if anybody was wondering.
What's up, Austin?
Austin P beer. He's a beer guy.
But me too sometimes.
Knob 9, Austin, get the single barrel. The standard 100 proof Knob 9 is fine. It's not bad. It's fine. Good value. Yeah. So you won't go wrong, especially if you're having like a little, card game or whatever with the boys. You're passing the bud and, dealing the jacks, then a little Knob 9 works well.
What bud are you passing around? I don't think that's legal in Austin.
Well, Austin is in Amarillo. It's probably not legal, but anyway.
I don't think. Yeah, definitely nothing's legal in Amarillo, or everything's legal in Amarillo. It just depends.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's a Westworld kind of deal,
Yeah, Austin should also go to Palace Coffee out in Amarillo. He knows. Oh, those are some good people out there, dude.
Yeah, his wife actually worked there. His wife worked there.
Oh, what? That's awesome, dude. Yeah. I love those people. They are so amazing.
They do a great job. I don't know them personally, but I've been to Amarillo with Austin a couple times, and I always have to go there, and my coffee is always good. And I'm really picky.
You work for Stone Creek. You're not that picky.
Kyle, I'm gonna punch you square in the face.
I got it. That was a dig on his company. We do need to trade.
That actually hurt a little bit.
I'm giving this man a hard time, dude. I'm giving you a hard time. I love you.
I'm literally gonna start crying.
But Mojo Basin Bourbon said Nut Creek is not for me. I totally get that. Like if you're not a nutty whiskey fan at all, you're gonna hate it. But
it's not as nutty as Booker's Open. Even Baker's is more nutty than Knob. Like Knob is probably the least nutty beam product, but it's still nutty. So
is OGD more, because OGD has that
more
spice.
Yeah, dude, it's
more
big. Yeah, but I mean, it's like it's got rye spice, but it's also got big peanut. Like
it's I haven't had it in a while.
It's like
it's not my
big
thing,
peanut and dill pickles.
Ooh, sounds gross. The super young, like my neighbor calls it goober peas, which apparently he's from like Pennsylvania. Apparently they like eat peanuts, like unroasted peanuts. They eat them like boil them. Sounds gross, but like apparently they eat them as like a vegetable for like, I don't know. It sounds disgusting. But he said they do that like green peanuts as like a thing they eat. I was like, cool. It is a legume technically. The peanut is technically a legume.
Yeah, not a nut.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Specific.
Whatever. But you have very similar allergic responses, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, the super green peanut thing is not my thing at all.
Liberty not licensed coming in hard here for Stone Creek. Appreciate that, my man.
No, totally. I'm just giving him a hard time.
Our
companies are relatively different. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're very different.
We're
What
pretty
did we
different
have?
companies, but
Yeah.
it's been a while, mate. It's like been
Yeah.
since that the barista competition that was in downtown. Where was that? Minneapolis.
Oh,
It's the
yeah,
last time I
dude, that
tasted
was
some
so
stone
long
something.
ago.
That was
I'd
it
say
was a while ago.
we've definitely come more your
Yeah.
direction over these
Yeah.
years, particularly over the last year. Like, we've gotten a lot harder on our small batch and reserve sourcing, which
Yeah.
is
I've noticed
what
that as
you
well,
do.
for sure.
That's all your coffee,
Yeah,
basically.
it's all nutty, all
Yeah.
wild, crazy stuff. We're insane. So I
Yeah.
was thinking about that, like, how do we compare our two companies to whiskey distilleries?
Oh,
And
yeah, that's a
I
good
have no
question.
idea. I
Yeah, I
have no
don't know
idea.
either.
And
That's
my
a
company,
fun thought exercise, but
the best thing I could come up with is some weird mix between Starlight and Blue Run for us.
oh, yeah.
Because
No, I mean,
we
I
do
think
like the
Starlight aligns to
craziest
you
stuff in the
guys.
world.
Yeah, right.
But we also like will release like some of the most high-end stuff you can
Mhm.
possibly purchase in the
Mhm.
United States. Like
Yeah.
regularly, like once a month, because we're
Yeah.
done.
Whereas we, like us, a lot of our customer base is kind of standard coffee, and we try and do standard coffee better than anybody else. But then we also have a big following for our, our small batch, what we call small batch, but micro lot, like the industry people call it micro lot coffees. And then we've been sourcing some of the similar stuff, like the really funky processing methods.
Like all we do
For our reserve coffees, but those hit like 6 times a year where you're dropping them, on the
We
regular.
dropped 2
So,
anaerobic natural coffees today.
yeah, we'll do that once every couple of months.
It's fine. No, it's quirky because like
There's no right
you
or
and
wrong way.
no, it's not. There's like that's the great thing about the whole deal is like there are so many ways to do this whole thing that all makes sense and all
Yeah.
captures a very specific market. Like the market for Stone Creek and the market for us we're not quite targeting the same customer, which is just the reality of what we're all doing. Which is fun when we think about it critically and what we're trying to do. It's pretty interesting. It's like my company and then Brian's company and your company are interesting because we're like kind of
All different.
it's kind of a linear pattern, right? Like we're a very young company and we focus on like very quirky stuff for the most part. We call our kind of tagline is compelling coffees for curious people. So if you're not coffee curious, we're probably not going to catch you most likely with any of our stuff because even our like most normal stuff is still strange compared to most places. And then Brian's company is a little bit young, a little bit older than us, but quite a bit younger than Stone Creek, and so they're kind of somewhere in between both of us. And then Stone Creek it's just been around for quite a long time,
Yeah,
and in a market,
1993. Yeah,
dude, that's crazy old. That's like counterculture old, which is like on the East Coast.
no, it's way older than counterculture.
Well, they're 95, so it's only 2 years.
Oh, really? They've been around since
they're
95. I thought they were like 2003-ish. But
no, that's when they got popular, but they weren't around quite a while. But it's like we can get into this whole coffee thing forever. There's a podcast about it actually that Drew and I and Brian recorded in Airbnb in some very strange town in Indiana.
It's a small Airbnb. I appreciate you letting me have the bed. That was nice.
Yeah, I slept on a couch. I think
we were all well bourboned that evening.
Thoroughly.
We
Brian
did the pick,
home.
and then we came back and. Oh yeah. I wouldn't recommend that.
I did have a breathalyzer with me. I always have a breathalyzer with me in my car because I own a small business and I am very active in my local congregation of Christian folk. And getting a DUI would be very, very bad.
Very bad. Yeah.
And for so many reasons. Many reasons. But yeah, that would be very, very detrimental to my life.
Yeah, don't do that. Nobody should do that. Everybody should carry a breathalyzer. Or just get an Uber. It's fine.
Yeah. I couldn't really get an Uber from like Starlight to my home, but yeah, it was.
Yeah, well, I mean, we had planned to crash together, so that worked.
Yes. We and I also, like I said, I brought a breathalyzer with me and made sure that I was legal before I left. It's just, I think that's just a wise call. Like if you're going to a pick, you should make sure that whoever's driving you either is driving you and is not drinking or has passed the breathalyzer test. And they're not expensive. Like we got it as a gag gift to a party we hosted. And I was like, this is fantastic. I love this mathematical details. This is great. This is great stuff.
Yeah. And just generally plan to get food very close by after your pick and just hang out. Don't get a beer, just eat, drink a lot of water.
So much water.
And that's
Yes.
one of the reasons I always drink water is I'm just like constantly flushing my body. But
Right.
also, if you're on a pig, it helps to drink a lot of water. Like, go well nourished and well hydrated. Continue to drink a lot of water. Pee a lot. Get food right after, because I spit. So last pick we did was dance and go, and I spit like almost all of it,
Mm-hmm.
and I was still buzzing by the end of it. And I was like, "How?"
Dude.
Like, I spit it all.
Dude, I be honest with you, that Starlight pick, by the end of it, I was pretty well hammered. Like that was they were very friendly with the random, hey, just taste this. This is great.
Yeah, well, I
Because like
was spitting a lot there. Like, I was
you
spitting
did.
there too to try and just maintain sanity.
Yeah, I spit out all the terrible stuff, but
There was a decent amount of it, and like that's the deal
yeah,
with Starlight is like some of their
yeah.
stuff is like magical, and some of it's like this has just gotta sit.
Yes, spoiler alert. Yeah, Starlight is very new, and like the dudes who are doing the distilling there are like children.
Yeah, they kind of look like children, very baby
They
faced
are.
men.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Christian's like 24,
yeah,
and his brother is 21, 22, something like that. Like they're quite young. Like they're quite young.
yeah,
They're a whiskey family. They're like a alcohol based family. Whatever. That sounds terrible to say it that way, but they like are been in the business for quite a long time. And he told us a story that made me cringe about Dave Pickerel getting him drunk or something like that when he was like 9. Something like
yeah.
that. It was
I think
wild.
that may have been off the record.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't say that at all. That was not true. Crap.
Well, Dave is dead
That's
now,
not
so
true.
I don't know who could actually get in
Yeah.
trouble.
And
So,
I'm sure that
rest
the
in peace,
freaking
Dave.
Christian's not watching this freaking live stream. That's a fact.
He's been on them
So
before.
yeah, I know.
Anyway,
Yeah,
Tom,
Tom says that we're children. Yeah.
yeah, almost. Tom also says he felt nice when we wrapped at Middle West, and we only had we had 4 samples, and then we were given a couple other things to try. So Middle West was by far the pick where we had the least, but even in that moment, you still like you get 2-ounce pours, whatever, however much you need to pick, and then you're like, I'm gonna taste this, and then taste this, and taste this, and next thing you know, you've had 6 ounces of bourbon, barrel proof.
Yeah.
And that'll get you buzzing. Like, yeah. So
I have a pretty intense alcohol tolerance. Like it doesn't.
You're like
I'm just also a larger
Wesley
human
in The Princess Bride, where you like spent last 15 years of your life building up an immunity to alcohol.
Iocane powder. Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm also a larger person. Like I'm like 6'1", like 220-pound fella. I'm not a tiny human being. So it's like, yes. Where Drew is a much smaller framed human being than I am personally.
Yeah. So I was explaining this to my wife because I mentioned I've been back at the gym, because I'm vain. And also I want to be healthy, but I was like, I feel like a freak there because I'm 6 feet tall plus maybe a little bit, and just
it's a good day.
A beanpole, and I don't feel like a beanpole like when I'm sitting on the couch eating potato chips. But then when I like am next to other human beings, I'm like, holy Lord, like this is just you could knock me over with a feather. It's almost embarrassing. And my calves are non-existent. I also realized that.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it's fine.
Genetically very gifted in the calf department, but that's about it.
Yeah, I would prefer to have more pronounced calves, given that my legs are about 8 feet long. But
it's tough.
But there's not much there.
Tough deal.
It's fine. There are worse problems to have. A little embarrassing if you wear shorts, but I just wear shorts anyway. I know people who are so sensitive about their legs, they don't wear shorts.
Yeah.
Shorts are necessary when it gets hot. Like you got to air that out. Like you gotta get some airflow up in the loins, and you can't do it if you're wearing pants. So
that's true. Thankfully, I don't work in a very I work in coffee clearly, so I own my own business, so I can do whatever I want. But a lot of careers, men don't wear shorts. Like, so that was like, because I came from like a business background, so I have a business degree, the whole nine. I also have like Drew, I also have a theology degree as well. So yeah, whatever. Drew and I both are very, very privileged human beings, and that we've both had access to higher education and lots of opportunities in our lives. But don't want to paint that wrong. But yeah, like a lot of people don't get the access. They have to wear pants all the time. It's pretty lame.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
they think, yeah, it's like I don't know where that came from, but yeah, it's strange. But
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
many years of culture, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was actually watching. This is very off topic, but I was actually watching this like very short explanation of what the suit is to the American like working man, and it's
Oh,
functionally a
interesting.
uniform. It's functionally a uniform to homogenize the American working man as a commodity, which is very interesting. And I mean, they're very closely based off of military garb as well. So it's like it's
Interesting.
very military based. Like you think like a nice suit and a
Yeah.
nice like military suit are very very similar, right? The
Mm.
dress
Yeah,
thing,
right. Yeah.
are very similar, and it's a way to homogenize and make consistent the expression of the American working male. Continue on.
Yeah, I was just piecing out to Fred there, who's leaving. Good
Oh,
guy,
dude, see
Fred.
you later, dude. Yeah, dude, Mojo's been in here hot and heavy tonight. I've been really appreciating the comments.
Socialism and a uniform. It's socialism. It's a uniform. Yeah. What's interesting though is like among our demo, like those of us who don't wear suits anymore. Like I have not worn a suit. Last time I wore a suit was to a wedding, my brother's wedding, I think 2 years ago. But in those moments, it's the antithesis of homogeny. You're trying to be a boss. Like you're trying to be you're peacocking a little bit.
But like it's really subtle though, dude. Like a nice suit compared to a not nice suit, like the untrained eye doesn't see it, right? So
only people who know nice suits,
you can't hide money, right? So that's the interesting thing. Like, so the guy, like, I was wearing like a tailored suit to this wedding, right? So I had a tailored suit made for a wedding I was in like 5 years ago that thankfully still fits somehow. But the guy next to me was wearing like a full-on like custom-made suit with like really nice materials. He was wearing these like black suede like loafer situations that were freaking killer. And I was like, man, that is looking nice, looking really nice. And I was kind of jealous. I was like, man, that guy looks nice, but I don't have that kind of cash. So
yeah.
And then he sat at our table at the reception or whatever, and he's like, yeah, my girlfriend's in fashion. I'm like, oh,
she bought those shoes for you.
Yeah, he's like, we actually found these shoes at Saks Fifth Avenue yesterday. I'm like, cool. I went in there too. I couldn't afford anything, so I'm gonna keep being my normal working man stuff. So
I got these at Payless. 2 for $1 deal.
I was wearing some Wolverine dress shoes that I bought off Steep and Cheap like a million years ago. They're hot. They're a good shoe, but like they are not black suede situations. But
I don't even own dress shoes anymore. Like the last ones I had some suede Oxfords, some grays that were nice, but like they got wore out, so I threw them away. And I never bought new ones. So what I own now are boat shoes, running shoes, Converse, All-Stars, obviously.
Can't do it.
And then what else do I own? Oh, some like Puma trainers that I just wear every day. Yeah. So I mean, it's like just the most comfortable shoes. And the older I get, the more basic my wardrobe. Like when I was younger, I would buy like like
white New Balance,
Blazers or the 407s. Yeah.
Wow, fire.
Now, when I was younger, I would buy more kind of crazy clothes, and now I'm like, I have 5 black T-shirts, and I just wear a ton of black T-shirts. And then
I wear this button down. Yeah, I'm a sneakerhead though, so that's kind of another random thing.
Yeah, you were wearing Jordans when we did the pick.
Yeah. No, they were Air Max 90s, but I think I have 5 pair of 90s that I fluctuate through. Sneakers are a weird thing. Like that's why I kind of resonated so heavily with the Blue Run stuff. When that guy went on, he was on someone's podcast, and it was great to hear them talk about like what they were trying to do with whiskey. It was both like a touch disrespectful and a touch like touch awesome at the same time, right? Because they were like, we want to do this thing totally different than anybody else in the whole wide world. We're going to source some 1792.
Well done,
you guys. Yeah. Congratulations! You can charge $150 for some 1792 barrels.
But they did go butterfly. Delicious. They went butterfly.
That's tight. I like the butterfly
over horse. So I mean that's Metro. It's Metro.
Yeah, the bottle is quite feminine in its shape, and it's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
But I'm just not going to pay that for whiskey. Definitely not for 1792. Sorry, dude.
So just
it's freaking gorgeous. I'll just get a freaking taster from you. or whatever.
Yeah, it's bound to happen. I got like 5 samples headed your way with your glasses and your shirt.
So. I owe you some friggin' Penelope samples. You have to taste this stuff because I have some old Penelope. I have some like they're really
OG.
really young stuff that it was like really young MGP that was aged at Castle and Key. So now they're distilling at Castle and Key, which is dope. I think, man, I love the Pinhook brand. I mean, they're like fully into like the super young whiskey thing, but that was one of the first craft whiskeys that I really got into was Pinhook, because they were intentionally giving you higher proof stuff that was quite young, but like higher proof, and I appreciate the proof because it kind of even like a 5-year-old MGP at like 119 proof or whatever still tastes better than like
85,
85 or 80. Good gracious. Stop it with the 80 stuff, guys. Killing me. But yeah.
It's just water at that point.
It's tough, man. It's hard. Like that's why I think that's part of the reason why I struggle with Scotch so much is that so much Scotch is at such low proof. And you're just like, man, the Scotch doesn't have a ton of intensity to it in general. And as far as the distillate goes, now that whatever they do with the smoking is whatever, but they aren't crazy intense. So like they're pretty sweet. They're pretty docile as far as it goes until you smoke them. And then they taste like phenol and like coffee defects. And
that's the hard thing about peated Scotch is that there's a very close adjacency between bad coffee and peated Scotch. We'll talk about that some other time. Not a Scotch podcast generally.
I do have a bottle of Wee Beastie back there I love.
It's like 5-year hard bag.
Yeah, crazy young, just like the most rowdy, like borderline undrinkable liquid in the world. It's great.
So I've got a really killer peated here from the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society.
Oh yeah, dude!
It's a 10-year, but they call this one Delicious Earthy Smoke. And this is probably, I mean, it's got to be. Of course, I haven't tasted it up against a bunch of other peateds. I gotta sneeze. Oh, now that I called it out, it's gonna.
It's done now. Now it just burns like fire.
Yeah, right. Anyway, I've had some good peated ones, but I really like this. So that definitely hits. Peated Scotch is very mood for me. Like 5 times a year, I'll be like peated Scotch. And my wife is always like, oh boy, because she does not like the smell of peated Scotch. Anyway, let's move on to our last bit because
we kind of got way off topic, but it's been great. Totally fine. Drew and I haven't hung out in a while. Like we've been kind of like missing each other.
We're just hanging out. Time goes. That's all we're
kicking
doing.
It's been great. And that's what last week felt like to me, man. I text Brian afterwards. I'm like, man, it was great. I thought we were just kicking it, hanging out, just having a good time. I think that's like the best part of these things is that, with COVID or just because we're in different places, like we can feel like we're kicking it, drinking some whiskeys, even though I'm staring at a computer screen, y'all are staring at your TV or your phone or whatever. It's still a good time.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love Thursday nights because it feeds the extrovert in me where I get to hang out and drink whiskey, talk whiskey.
Yeah. To a little King of the North here. This is
back on that light whiskey.
No, this is the Obtainium Canadian rye whiskey.
Oh, Canadian! I haven't had the Canadian rye.
Yeah, Canadian rye. Dude. So this is I'm quite a huge fan of Alberta Premium Rye. So this is a super old version. This is 14-year Canadian 14-year Alberta Premium, which is, I mean, it's if you're into rye, like you should definitely try it. This is like the predecessor, like Alberta and MGP rye come from the same family, right? So because MGP came out of MGP was created to be Seagram's. It was originally called Seagram's Distillery, which is in Lawrenceburg. Was originally created to be Seagram's Distillery. So they were making the 95.5 rye, and they would cut that with neutral grain spirit to make Canadian rye whiskey, because in Canada, rye whiskey can be anything that has rye whiskey in it. They don't have quite the same laws. But anyways, Alberta Premium and MGP rye are both like super high ryes. And they have very similar flavor profiles that are just a touch divergent. Alberta's less mint, more fruit, in my opinion. Continue on.
While you pour that, I'm going to pour a little bit of this Polish rye, but I will talk about these Stagg products real quick, and then we'll talk about what we're looking forward to, what we would like to try and find this fall. So the Staggs, so batch 14, You mentioned people hated on batch 14. I just did a quick
as far as like
compared
to 12, people hated 13. Compared to 13, people hated 14, and then 15 kind of came back into vogue.
Breaking Bourbon gave 14 4.5 barrels. And I'm
not a Breaking Bourbon guy.
They are different in profile. The Stagg 2019 is a little more oak forward, whereas Stagg Junior 14 is more cherry. Like it is a little fruitier, and probably a little sweeter. So depending on what you're looking for, like for me, they're probably
sweeter. Really? Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Actually, it's sweeter. In
That's
this side by side I'm doing.
Because this bad dude right here.
20.
I guess it's
17. You said
it's 29.2 proof. So I forget. It's either 2017 or it's either 16 or 17. I forget. Someone will look that up. Put that in chat. I forget.
But I love. Yeah, the batch 14 does it for me a lot, and that Stagg is almost done now. And I enjoy them both. They're both fantastic. But yeah,
dude, Mojo's in the chat. He's putting shade on the 14 as well. So
that's fine.
I'm just saying we're right. We're right. Me and Mojo are right. He thinks freaking Pappy 23 is over oak. I've never had it, so I'll trust him. Okay,
well, it is what it is. If we were all here tasting these together side by side, it's like. But it's like somebody asked me about it, and I'm like, well, actually, I've never had this Stagg Junior batch on the same evening I've had that GTS. So I'm like, well, let's do it. And by and large, I liked them equally, but they were different. But man, I just keep coming back to even batch 14, which, whatever. I really like it. So batch 12, if it's better than batch 14, wouldn't surprise me at all if it was better than several GTS releases, because
they're like 12 and 15 are the ones that are most often considered the best batches of Stagg Junior that exist.
Right.
And I haven't had 12. I've had 13, 14, 15, and 11, I think, or 10 or 11, I forget. 10, it was so hot. And someone posted in chat that they had batch 1 and they swore off Stagg Junior because it was just nuclear hot.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did that, but you shouldn't do that. You should come back. Like we're 15 batches deep now.
Yeah, system
16,
trends. He likes 15. Yeah, it just dropped.
I think Trev Wilson, the Bourbon Wrench, was the only person who's been able to talk about 16. I don't know anybody else.
It may be a state thing because he's in a different state than all the rest. He's in Arkansas, I think. Is Arkansas he's in? I forget where he is.
I thought Iowa, but Cedar Rapids.
Oh, sure. Yeah, same difference. Yeah, that's middle of the country somewhere. Yeah.
Right. Not that.
System Trend says that he prefers 15 over 12. So most of the bourbon YouTubers go back and forth. Like I said, I haven't tasted 12, so I have no idea. But I really love 15 for its like red cherry Jolly Rancher thing it's got going on, like red candy thing. But I'm like a candy nut. Like if you look at all the coffees we buy, it's all like candy flavor stuff. It's because that's where I like candy because I'm
big candy.
I like candy. I'm like sugar. It's all those things. Fat Kid whiskey. That's what Dan calls it, Fat Kid whiskey. So
nice. Brian, he's not here, but he loves the old funky oaky stuff. Like when we had that.
He does.
What was this? Sample 4 from last week, which was 1976 early times.
Oh, he likes the Dusties a lot. Yeah,
super oaky and funky and good, but it was like burned marshmallows, And so I'm like, this is good, Like it's unique, and I appreciate that. Where Brian's like having an orgasm, like on this.
Yeah, he loves it. Yeah, it's fun to see, like, because we're all three good tasters, and we all three like whiskey a ton, like quite a lot. Brian definitely has I would say Brian has the most mature taste of any of us. He likes like quite old.
Oh yeah,
quite high end whiskey. He has the most expensive taste for certain.
That is 100% true.
He has got that money taste. Like I tasted whiskey with Brian. Oh man, we didn't really know each other that well. We knew we were like coffee adjacent, and he knew. And like I was in Louisville for my birthday or something like that. And we tasted, I brought like Michter's American, and old dude brought like a freaking Colonel Taylor 4-grain, like a Whistle Pig 18. He brought to this day the best Buffalo Trace store pick I've ever tasted. Like I offered to buy it off of him at that moment. I was like, hey man, that's the best Buffalo Trace I've ever tasted. I want it. It tasted like blueberry candy again with the candy. And yes, I saw you. I am the candy man. Someone posted that in chat.
Nice.
Yes, I am the candy man. But anyways, he brought like hitters, and I was like, man, I don't even know what this stuff is. Like I've never even heard of this stuff before. Like that was the first time I'd ever tasted 4-grain, and the only time I've ever tasted E. Taylor 4-grain was from Brian.
Yeah, I've never had that, but Brian he's a really generous dude. Like so, yeah. If you're hanging out with, I mean, like. I tasted Al Young thanks to Brian. I tasted Chessman thanks to Brian. So the dude is
Chessman. It's on my list, man. It's on my list. Dude.
He's easy to give crap to because he has so much good whiskey, but he's not tight-fisted with it. He's not. No,
he is incredibly generous,
dude. Yeah, swell, dude.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, yeah, it's so quirky that because like I knew this didn't make sense either. I've known Brian for years. Like we've been in coffee for quite a long time.
The coffee bourbon trifecta we got going on here.
So the year I won the United States Barista Championship 2017,
humble flex.
Brian,
humble flex.
Yeah, not even humble, just straight up flex, dude. So it's like, that was Brian and I were competing the same year, or he was supporting a competitor, I forget, in Knoxville, Tennessee, and Brian was wearing a hat that I couldn't buy so that I was using a coffee from this before I roasted coffee. I was using a coffee from a roastery in Grand Rapids, Michigan called Madcap Coffee Roasters. Trevor Corlett, one of my dearest, truest, best friends. Like he was on my world tasting panel. He was on my US tasting panel. He was freaking great, dude. Anyways, so he was wearing a Madcap Ebbetsfield vintage hat. And I was like, dude, I've been trying to buy one of those hats for like a year and can't find one. And the Madcap guys can't find me one. And I was competing with one of their coffees. And he takes it off his head, hands it to me, and says, it's yours now. And it's just one of the most amazing stories.
It's just very sweet.
Yeah, that is Brian in a nutshell. Like, will he give you the hat off his own head? Yes.
Nice. You guys have done a little Ebbetsfield hat trading, haven't you?
Yeah, I gave him one of my Spirit Tea hats as well because I was been trying to buy one of those Willett hats for a while because Brian works with Willett. I don't know how much y'all know that he works with Willett in quite a, I don't know how intensive a detail, but he definitely works with.
He does their coffee
directly.
Yeah, I mean, he's set up their coffee program. Yeah,
they're involved. They have a thing. They have quite a rapport because I mean Brian's an incredible taster. He's a great person in general as well. So he's like very trustworthy, and everyone who meets him knows that almost instantly. So. I mentioned his name in the gift shop, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Brian, we freaking love that guy."
Yeah, no, they know Brian. Yeah. Everybody who's been around Brian, this is a skill of Brian Beyke. This isn't a Brian Beyke podcast like where we just talk about Brian, but it is.
We can though.
Yeah, so he has this amazing ability that I wish I had. I met like 2 or 3 people in my life who are like this. That when they meet somebody, everybody remembers them, and everybody would give their left arm for Brian because. He's an authentic, kind, nice person. Even when he's critical, he's never mean.
Nope.
And I wish I had that skill because people tell me I'm mean. And I'm like, dang, Brian, I don't want to be mean. I don't feel mean. I would give it a lot not to be perceived as mean.
Right.
But I've been told.
But you and I both come off as douchey. So it's like it's a thing we have. It's an ambiance that we create.
Unfortunately, not proud.
Yeah, I try really hard to not be that guy, but it's
Brian doesn't have it.
Yeah,
he doesn't have it.
No,
he's even at his worst, he's better.
It's just frustrating, but it's fine. That's great. No, and an amazing taster and a freaking hardworking dude. We're talking about coffee all the time too, so it's like it's great. It's fun. We can stop talking about Brian a bit, but I'm sure he'll. I don't know if he'll actually watch this or not. Definitely not a freaking hour and 44 minutes deep. Into this
you never know.
But, maybe, dude.
Y'all have to tell him the nice things we said about him next week. All right, let's.
You don't even have to tell him. Let those things live. Let those things live in the ether. It's.
I don't believe in karma, but it'd be like karma.
Sure. No, like it's nice to say good things about people that deserve it, and they don't have to hear it. Sure. Other people hear it. That's what matters.
Yeah, but it's also nice to know that people say nice things about you too. So
yeah, that's because we're both very vain.
Yeah,
I think that's what makes Brian he's not as vain.
Yeah, that's true. He's not a performer. Right. Yeah. He doesn't feel necessary to perform.
Hey man, I'm a 1. Quit putting me into your box, dude.
Well, you got others. You're self-righteous.
God, yes.
Someone who's self-righteous.
Oh, I'm the most self-righteous human being you've ever met. Oh my gosh, it's terrible. We're talking about Enneagram. If you're into Enneagram, that's awesome. If you're not, that's totally chill. Yeah. Like whatever.
But it would be another good episode that has nothing to do with whiskey. But we could type distilleries. That would be sick. If we type distilleries.
That would be so like inside baseball. People would
right. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
That's happening? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I've done some weird videos though. It's kind of on brand. So anyway, let's get to our last bit, which is what do you hope to score in your state? So it's not like
that's
choose if you choose everything, if you could pick anything. So it's really like what do you really hope you can score this fall? Dude. Given all the releases.
I'm just trying to keep my Elijah Craig barrel proof thing going.
Yeah,
I owe a gentleman in chat an ECBP, so I'm trying to find that person who knows who he is. What is it? C
920.
921. Yeah, 921.
Oh, 921, which hasn't dropped yet.
That's the next one, right? That's the next one that's going to drop.
Well, maybe they'll do something crazy and they'll do C1021 because what have they done? Like A1, B5, C9. That's been the
so the first letter is all about the month they're supposedly dropping them in.
First
right?
number.
So September is when they're supposed to have dropped this next one, but that came and went and no one's seen it yet.
Yeah, I didn't even see any press releases or TTB anything.
Oh, you were looking for TTB stuff yet? Because they've been really hot on the ECBP picks, which is I think is going to draw into our ECBP stock a little bit.
Which that'll suck, yeah.
Which is going to be lame. It's like, to be very transparent, other than Stagg Jr., ECBP is the best bourbon you can get for the money. Period.
Hundo P.
Yeah. Even the last two, which have been kind of duds, like A121 and B521, are kind of like some of their more dud batches for ECBP here lately. Whatever. But C920 was magical. B520 was so good. I loved it so much.
I've got one of each of those held back because they're so good.
I got two of the 520s. Nice. I passed on a second C920 and I kicked myself.
Yeah. I traded.
It opened up so pretty, yeah.
Yeah, some guy was like right before I got off secondary, so it was like this spring. He had just bought too many of the 2020s, and so he had like a C920, a B520, and then one other one he was selling like all of them for way too cheap. Costs. And I was like, yeah, just give them to me. I'll take them at cost.
I'm there for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely want to do that. I don't think I'll see anything else, man. Like that's really the only thing I have hope to see in reality. Shout out to the same guy in chat. I got a Remus 5 really recently from that guy. Oh, thanks ADHD whiskey. That's a hitter, dude. Did Perry like it? Do you have a word on that?
Perry from This Is My Bourbon podcast.
That is a salt of the earth good dude. Like I know a good dude when I see one, and like that's a good freaking dude.
We had Perry on for
Matt Porter.
30 minutes. Perry jumped on and we had him for like 30 minutes. We need to get him back on because that was great. But yeah, Matt came on twice now, and I could have Matt on here every single week, and it'd be a delight.
Yeah, man. Hope he's doing good with I know he got the COVID a couple months ago. I know he had some trouble with it. Yeah, he got the COVID a couple weeks ago. And man, I'm wishing
he's on here, so that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you recovered pretty well from what I chatted with Dan. He's got his taste back, which is great. My dad, dude. This is why I'm so weird about COVID. Like there's a huge coffee thing in Milan that I really want to go to, and it's in freaking Milan, Italy, right? My company would pay for me to go to Milan if I want to go, right? But my dad got COVID in Thanksgiving and still to this day cannot taste.
Yeah.
That's all I do
Ugh.
for fun and for a living. I play disc golf
Yeah.
and ball golf and whatever stuff too. But like recreationally, what I actually get the most pleasure from is tasting things with
Yeah.
people who are also good tasters. And like, I don't know that I could bear to live without tasting.
It would
which
be
is,
tough. I've thought about that too. Like, I don't know what I mean, I can make videos and do a lot of like, what's the deal with this and that. But I mean, I wouldn't drink bourbon if I couldn't taste it, you know? So I was
like my dad loved like spicy food. Sorry, I hit a gland. Loved spicy food. Like loved it. Like we've always talked about spicy food, talked about like hot sauces and different stuff, compare them to each other, whatever. And then like now after COVID, he can't eat spicy food. He says it tastes actually terrible. We were eating some Cuban food in Chicago, which was magically so delicious. This place went around from Airbnb, but like he's like, yeah, it's too spicy, man. It just like tastes bad. I'm like, are you serious, Dad? Like we've talked about this so many times. So it's like that's like got me too edgy about this stuff, man. Like, but like Matt seems to come through it. But I know that me and my dad have very similar genetic material because I'm his son, and we look exactly the same, and we talk, walk.
Did your dad get it before the vaccine though?
Yeah, he did. He got it Thanksgiving last year. Yeah.
So
he has the
hopefully
vaccine now, but
hopefully that would provide a little protection for you. Like,
right. Yeah.
And I hope that, like, I don't know anybody who's gotten it post-vaccine who had that level of.
Yeah, that level of intense response. That's a valid point because I had a bunch of family members.
Like, I know people who've gotten it post-vaccine just without that level
breakthrough infection stuff. But this isn't like a political thing or anything. But like but whatever. Like people who do flavor for a living, like me, and so I have another quality control analyst who works for us. Her name's Chelsea, and she's an incredible taster, like truthfully incredible. And we have stuff like we're talking about right now, talking about flavor all the time. It's amazing. But she lives very nervous. Like if I were to, she doesn't own a coffee company. I do. I was very fortunate. And so if she were to lose her sense of taste, like what could she do for a living? She has like a real challenging thought about that. Like what would I do if this happened? So it's for some of us, it's more like it's more intense than other people. And that's fine. Oh, Scott's test dummies. Put that back up. I want to read that. I actually didn't see that. Sorry.
Yeah, it seems like one of the guys over there got big Rona.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Some people said that they've actually come through the COVID and like it gave them a chance to like hard reset all their aroma and taste responses, and that's like a nice way to reset. But like I don't know. I only had one person who told me that, so that's a challenging gamble.
Yeah, I'll keep my senses and deal without a hard reset. I mean, you could just drink water and eat carrots for like go full Steve Jobs on that for a week, and then that'd probably be a hard reset. I'm a big carrots guy, but I like cooked carrots, not raw. So we eat a lot of roasted carrots in this house. Yeah. Anyway, we still haven't gotten.
Let's hit
we still haven't gotten to the bit, which was what do you want to score?
Oh, what do you want to score?
You mentioned kind of got on that. Yeah.
ECBP.
I agree. I need another one of those. So C921 would be fantastic because now we know it exists. So that's great.
Yeah, it exists. Thanks, Matt Porter. Thank you, sir.
Anything else?
Man, I don't know. I don't have anything else on my radar, man. Oh, holy crap! Actually, so we didn't talk about what I scored this week. So I'm actually pretty hyped on it. I've been trying to get one of the honey barrel aged Starlights for like quite a while, and I think I scored one this week. I think I scored one this week, and I'm also trying to get that freaking cognac bourbon from the Bourbon Junkies. That's a kind of on my list. But I'm not at a high enough Patreon freaking thing for them, dude. I'm like lower than the Patreon thing I send to you. I think I send them like $2, dude. Like,
it is tough, Patreon's tough. You gotta pick your squad and roll with that squad, and yeah.
And I talk to you more than I talk to Dan. Like I like Dan.
Yeah, but they do.
I send money to ADHD as well. So, but I send more money to ADHD than I send to Dan for sure. They got a good gig going over there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're not hurting for the supporters. We'll say that.
And they're not. To be fair, they are not hurting. They also put out a ton of content. They work freaking super hard. They've done a great job.
No,
like
hey.
I don't want to
No,
hear
hey.
any. Drew and I are definitely not trying to put any shade on those dudes.
No.
They work way harder at this.
Well, and they
thing
really helped me too.
most.
Like, it was really generous of them. I had like 400 followers, and they're like, "Hey, you want to come on our stream?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks, guys."
Heck
And
yeah.
it was a lot of fun. So I'd love to.
You made
with them
Dan
more.
look like a freaking grade A dummy. It was fantastic. It didn't take a ton.
I didn't mean to. I was just being me, and they were being them, and it was what it was.
No, Dan is a super smart
that's
guy.
worth a
Chat
watch.
with him
If you guys
in reality, yeah, it's a good listen. Yeah, it's fun.
I love Dan. Like Dan, like he seems like a guy I would just love to hug. I mean, he seems super huggable, and he to me is just full of positive vibes. So, yeah, need to connect with them more. They're not that far. They're just across the lake. They're probably
on
like
the other side. Okay,
200 miles from me across.
Oh, they're in Midland, Michigan, because they're north of Grand Rapids, right?
They are in nowhere. I don't know exactly where they are. I know they're in nowhere, but
okay.
But
well, you can go by Three Floyds on the way. That's a pretty compelling reason to go.
Yeah. By. So here's the thing, though. I mean, my weak disposition knocked me over with a feather. Beer is pretty much out unless it's a gluten-free beer. So that's not ideal. It's not great, but it is what it is. Yeah.
So I love beer as well. Like I taste beer with another group here in town as well, and but I'm also gluten intolerant, which is not great. I ate a pizza today at lunch, and I've been paying the price all day. It's been.
Yeah, I wonder if I have a gluten thing. I've been trying to dial it back because I have a lot of intestinal inflammation. But I've been crushing this from Rishi Tea, which is Milwaukee-based, great tea company.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Turmeric ginger, they're right down the road. They've got this turmeric ginger
I've had the
herbal
turmeric
tea.
Quite a bit. I've had a lot of it, yeah.
So this tea is awful.
It tastes terrible.
Ginger, it's amazing. It makes me feel fantastic.
It tastes like curry and like a curry
and ginger, pure ginger. So it's like the most intense. Yeah, it makes me feel wonderful. So I like any day I'm at work, I'm like, guys, give me one of those teas. So I have my cup of coffee early in the morning, and then I have this tea about lunchtime. And I felt like $1 million ever since I started pounding that stuff. Yeah. Okay. So what am I after this?
Yeah, what are you looking for? What's what are you vibing? I mean, I want you to find another one of those freaking the black label thing you showed me that I want with the cognac finish.
The Bardstown Fair.
Oh man, I want that so bad.
Yeah,
I'm so jelly right now. Like it's incredible. Like Brian talks about like amazing whiskeys, like they're like no big deal, and I'm like, dude, I couldn't get that if I stabbed a guy. So it's like Blackened hasn't come to our state and will never come to our state ever. Thankfully, I don't want it at 130, but I would probably pay 130 for that for Bardstown, because Bardstown 3 and 4 are two of the best whiskeys I own. And I'm looking at I think this is 2017 WLW and also 2017 Stagg Junior or Stagg GTS, excuse me.
Yeah.
Those and the 3 and 4 are up there. I think we may differ on which one we prefer. I prefer 3. I think you prefer 4. But
yeah. Well, I didn't do them side by side, so it'd be an interesting side by side. I like this year. I already crushed. Like I'm on a tear right now.
You have done a good job. I'm very impressed.
Yeah. So with that Willet Blackened, I was really curious about that. So it's up there, and I really enjoy.
That's Madeira, right? That's Madeira, and
that's
Willet Rye Madeira.
Yeah. So
I love Madeira.
Average is 6-year-old. Go ahead.
I have the Madeira. Madeira finished. Crap. They're NGP as well. The barrel you showed me earlier, the 9 years that you found in the random store in Chicago, Greenbrier Distillery. What's their
Bellmead
name? Bellmead. Yeah, I have the Bellmead Madeira that I found it when I was in South Carolina, and it's like a sticky toffee pudding. If you've ever had that in the UK, it's like the best version of that. But, that's a shame.
One day. Yeah. My wife and I are gonna go. We talked about going for our 5th anniversary. Then we had our son. Then we were going to go. Then we had our first daughter. Then we were going to go for our 10th anniversary, and we just had our 3rd child. So we'll make it. Or we had COVID. Then we had our 3rd child. So
we'll make it. That's the thing. Yeah, because Prisoner, that was Prisoner you have in front of you, yeah?
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So I was drinking a little Prisoner, and then I poured a little back because I was like, I'm done. But this is nice. It's just you get some of that Dickel. This tastes like Dickel 15 aged in rich wine, which is good. I like Dickel 15, it's more Dickely. Fight for Pavitt is less Dickely, which I appreciate. So Prisoner is probably the most Dickely release they did. That's my assessment.
My hair got all kind of crazy there.
So going back to
what you're looking for?
Yeah, so I mean, I got another Michter's 10 rye. I got the Russell's 13. I got that Willet. You got
the Russell's 13? Did you send me that sample?
Yeah.
You better send me that freaking sample.
I haven't opened it, but yes, when I open it, I will send you a sample.
I haven't seen
this was the one for me. That was the one I
wanted. That's the one I wanted, but I knew
the one I wanted to, and I got it, and so I'm happy.
Congratulations! That's
if
amazing.
I could choose anything this fall, it'd be the Four Roses 2021.
Of course.
Yeah.
LE,
so
the small batch LE.
If I saw that next to William LaRue Weller, I mean, depending on the price, it's tough, but the only other thing, I just know I'm not going to get WLW. It's out. I'm not going to get it. So the only thing I stand
unicorn tears, like it's
right. The only thing I stand a vague shot at getting is the Four Roses release because I've been able to luck into that twice. So
they distribute a little much better in your state than they do ours. I have never seen a barrel proof Four Roses in North Carolina.
Yeah. So Remus 5 is great and limited edition worthy.
Very good.
At a great value. So I've got one of that.
Whatever.
Yeah, so I'm really happy with the way that 2021 unfolded. Plenty of great whiskey out there.
For
sure.
You really crushed. Yeah, I'm really jealous of them in many ways.
Yeah, I made
happy
some
that I can get
too.
sample from you. Yeah.
I made some swaps too. That like I was able to get a straight from the barrel.
Oh, nice.
Oh
yeah, you mentioned that because you traded some. You traded
Michter's 10 bourbon. Michter's 10 bourbon for it. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I got the Russell's 2003 at the very it was early this year. It was like it was like kicked back out by our local store in March when I was having that weird medical issue. It was like God was just like, hey, it's gonna be okay. And then I found this Russell's 2003.
Russell 03, yeah.
Like, okay. that was like I said, I don't believe in karma. I also don't believe that God does good things just because you are good. But at the same time,
he's good. He's gracious.
I'll praise him for the good gifts he gives. Every good and perfect gift from above comes down from the Father of lights.
Amen.
Causes it to rain on the just and the unjust alike.
Yeah, the unjust, your boy. Anyway, Mojo 88 has his R13 is chocolate raisinets and blackberry bomb, but he's also convinced that some of them are tainted. Which I'm like, yes, 100%. There are tainted bottles that exist. I don't know how they get tainted, but yes, totally, some are.
I have not heard anybody who had a Russell's 13 that they.
I haven't heard of tainted Russell's 13. No, I've heard of a lot of tainted stuff from Buffalo Trace actually, which is. I think it's cork related, honestly. Like when I was a young buck and didn't understand that cork was a problem for bourbon because bourbon's too astringent, too aggressive. Alcohol is too good of that high of proof is too good of a solvent for a natural or synthetic cork. I stored some of my bourbons on their side because I didn't know. I just didn't know. I honestly just didn't freaking know. And like I destroyed a bottle of Eagle Rare and a bottle of. I was like I had a bottle of Blanton's forever because it was fine. But like I destroyed a bottle of Blanton's and a bottle of Eagle Rare because I stored them on their side and it got cork taint, which is like tastes like when your bourbon starts tasting like scotch, that's when you know you've got cork taint because it just becomes like a very medicinal, very aggressive, very like smoky, acrid, dry, almost like phenolic compound. So it's challenging. When your bourbon, which is not challenging of a beverage, is very sweet, very approachable, becomes challenging.
You're out. It's over. I think we lost you. Oh, your AirPods died. Okay. I see your mouth moving, but no words. You were crushing it, though, up until that. It's fine. I'm going to let you figure out.
Am I there?
Yeah, you're there now.
Heck yeah. My AirPods died. So now I am on the full-on computer speakers. but everyone in my house is super asleep. So.
So Garrett says Dan and Julie like Legends. I had a bottle of Russell's 13 and they didn't like it. I would be crushed if I opened this and I didn't like it. I don't see that
I would
happening.
be as well.
But this one, the cork is in great shape, so it looks great. I tasted it at Bardstown Bourbon Company, loved it, so I'm not really worried about it. Cool.
I have to take a Drew break and go to the potty.
Well, we're at 10:06, so we're at wrap up time.
Okay,
we're at 11 your time, so we'll wrap it there, squad. We got through our agenda. It was a lot of fun. It was great. We're gonna have Kyle back because that was fantastic. A lot of fun for sure. Yeah, 100%. Hundo P, big vibes. So, squad, we had a good crew tonight watching the show. Thank you for that. You guys rock. Yeah. Appreciate that. Again, you can check out more content, ways you can engage with the channel in the show notes below. Do that. You can follow me on Instagram at Drew P. Whiskey. You can follow Kyle on Instagram at what?
Kyle_Rampage.
Kyle's big coffee guy. Black and white coffee roasters in Raleigh, North Carolina. Black and white. What's the website there, Kyle?
blackwhiteroasters.com.
So that's the way you can buy some of Kyle's coffee.
Please do. Thank you.
I have referenced my coffee company in the past as well, but we'll let Kyle's have the stage for now.
Oh, it's all good, dude. It's got to be stonecreekcoffee.com, right?
That's correct. It is. Yeah, we're in full coffee season, actually. Fall is big time coffee vibes. My favorite time to drink coffee. I drink a lot more in the fall.
Yeah. So much. When it's not hot in the warehouse, mate. If we just moved into a new warehouse and we have air conditioning, we're consuming way more hot coffee. It's amazing. Also, Liberty Not Licensed says next time all golf chat.
So yeah, we need to have Eric back on the show, Eric Sawyer, because he's a member of Swing Nation, and that would be a fun. Maybe we'll do that on a Tuesday. No, that's Bourbon Junkies. They do too. Well, we'll pick a.
Screw them. Who cares?
Anybody who wants to talk about golf, we'll have a live stream just.
Because I hit the Cobra 1 length, so I want the shade to come out.
Nice. No, I would like to hear your experience with those because I've entertained that because I don't. I dedefinitely struggle with my 4 and 5 iron. So if everything was 7 iron,
you want to hit a solid 4 iron, dude. You bring a 1 length out there. You bring a 7 iron length, friggin' 4 iron, and you can smoke that joker. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's what I think, but I've never tried it. So
the long irons, the short irons are weird, right? So a 9 iron that's 7 iron length is still pretty weird.
Pretty weird.
But I wish that once you got to 7, they just all stayed there.
I agree. All right, big thanks again to High Noon for not sponsoring the podcast as much as we would have asked and advocated for them. We'll continue to do so. And
shout out to Sazerac for sponsoring this podcast as well.
Unofficially.
Officially. We talk about Sazerac a lot.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, they were in the news. They earned it.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, in New York Times. When bourbon is in New York Times, that's good for all of us.
It's great.
Or bad for all of us. I don't know. It's whatever. Prices are going to go up.
Y'all have a good rest of your night. You know the drill. Stay healthy, stay safe, and remember to I'm out of stuff. Keep it neat with the High Noon.